Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. Trembled uncontrollably. Father. A hoarse voice escaped Itachi's lips. His entire body froze, and the surrounding masked ninja stopped along with him. You ultimately sided with Hidden Leaf Village. Fugaku's face was expressionless, but a deep disappointment filled his eyes. Several corpses of Anbu ninja also lay beside him. I'm sorry. The Uchiha launching a coup at this time will only lead to complete annihilation. If left unchecked, Hidden Leaf Village will also be destroyed by other hidden villages because of this. You know the attitude of the Uchiha Warhawks. Itachi's pupils suddenly widened, his voice a desperate cry as if trying to suppress the throbbing in his heart. Boom. That is no reason for you to slaughter your own clan. Fugaku roared furiously, a massive black-red energy instantly overflowing from his body. A black-red chakra giant manifested with a bang, smashing Itachi's orange-red Susanoo into the ruins with a single punch. Susanoo. After knocking down his son with one punch, Fugaku ultimately couldn't bring himself to follow through with a fatal blow. Instead, he turned to face the surrounding masked ninja. Mangekyo Sharingan. Fugaku has actually awakened these eyes too. Denzo's face was filled with astonishment, but then his eyes erupted with a fervent light. Too strong. These eyes of his are too strong. I must have them. Everyone, focus your fire and kill him. With a single command, all the masked ninja shot towards Fugaku. The jutsu pouring from their hands converged like grains of sand into a vast sea. Like a torrent of energy, they fiercely overturned Fugaku's Susanoo. Excellent, the clan head also has such eyes. Protect the clan head. The Uchiha's morale soared, and they rushed forward. But the disparity in numbers and elite strength was too great, as the ninja who could join Anbu and Root were all elites among Hidden Leaf Village ninja. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 Uchiha were torn to shreds. If it weren't for Fugaku's Mangekyo, tonight would have been a massacre like in the original story. Just as the hope that had just ignited in the hearts of all Uchiha was about to be extinguished once more, a rain of noble phantasms bombarded from the sky, tearing the masked ninja in the front rows to pieces. How dare you disturb this king's silent contemplation? You all deserve to die. A dazzling golden light appeared in the air. This infuriating tone, this light. All the masked ninja, especially the Root members, had a bad feeling. They looked up. Sure enough, the golden armored man was standing once again on the roof of the tallest building in the Uchiha clan grounds. Circles of golden ripples were spreading behind him. The ninja who had seen golden glitter before gritted their teeth. This was someone they would rather participate in the fourth great ninja war than face. He had come again. Who are you? Please do not interfere in our Hidden Leaf Village's internal affairs. The third Hokage had also heard of this man's deeds, but the night before, when he rushed over, the man had already vanished. This king hasn't even questioned you yet, and you mongrel dare to speak first? Your disrespect to this king is enough to warrant a death by 1,000 cuts. Gilgamesh's expression was cold and severe, his lofty gaze making everyone who looked at him feel deeply scorned. Hiruzen's face stiffened, and he took a deep breath. He had heard before about how infuriating this guy was, and today, he truly witnessed it firsthand. He deeply felt this sense of frustration. No one had ever dared to call him, the third Hokage, a mongrel. In the entire ninja world, who wouldn't be mindful of him, the god of shinobi, the professor, the teacher of the legendary Sannin, the strongest third-generation Kage. But, as the god of shinobi, enduring was the proper attitude as a politician he should showcase. He absolutely could not allow this guy to break his composure. I will endure. He silently chanted in his heart. Hiruzen forced out a smile that looked uglier than that of a crying child's. Your Excellency, this is a rather inappropriate. Silence. Shameless old dog, you disturbed this king's peaceful reconstruction of golden body, and you still dare to bark madly before this king. With the immense power gathered by Fugaku's Mangekyo materializing his soul and by reconstructing his body, his own strength had recovered somewhat. The King of Heroes swept his gaze across the dense crowd below. Rejoice. As a reward for helping this king rebuild my golden body, today, I will take over this small village and reign over as king. Be delighted. This king will lead you to conquer this world. You have the right to bathe in the glory brought by this king. Of course, certain old dogs are excluded. In a corner, a masked man in a black robe, carrying a chain and wearing a spiral mask, who was secretly hunting down 3 Tomoe Uchiha clansmen, stared blankly. Obito, who called himself Madara Uchiha and used his name to swindle and deceive in the ninja world, finally understood what true arrogance meant. He felt the terrifying pressure and arrogance that was on par with that of Madara Uchiha. Looking at the third Hokage, whose eyes suddenly turned red and who had almost awakened his own Sharingan, ignoring all bloodline limitations, he couldn't help but mutter, when it comes to provoking hatred, I, Madara Uchiha, declare you the strongest. Chapter 50, Take over the village? Hiruzen's eyes instantly filled with blood. You could call him an old dog, you could say his policies were wrong, but if you wanted to take his village, take his position as Hokage, that was no better than asking for his life. Even though he had to step down during the Third Great Ninja War due to a major blunder and let Minato Namikaze become the 4th Hokage, he had never relinquished leadership. Under the guise of guiding Minato, he still firmly controlled all of Hidden Leaf Village's decisions. Minato was nothing but a puppet Hokage. I don't care where you come from, but you won't be leaving Hidden Leaf Village today. Listen up, everyone. Focus all your attacks on this armored man. Hiruzen roared, his hands rapidly forming seals. Fire style, fire dragon flame bullet. Intense flames cleared the way, followed by countless figures. Humphrey Mirance trying to shake a tree, you overestimate yourselves, mongrels. Another ridiculously arrogant fool. In this chaotic world without a king, this king's willingness to lead you is already a tremendous grace. Since you're all ignorant fools, then disappear. You dirty mongrels. Accompanying the King of Heroes' condescending words, noble phantasms, like a dense barrage of artillery shells, whistled down from the star-filled sky. In an instant, flames were torn apart, and jutsu were deflected. Several Anbu leaping at the forefront were blasted into mist of blood. This scene made everyone's pupils constrict. This Gilgamesh was clearly stronger than last time. Keep going, don't stop. Front row, all release defensive jutsu. Back row, all release offensive jutsu, tear that place of his to shreds. Hiruzen issued a furious roar. Hi. A uniform, well-trained response resounded. Utilizing their numerical advantage, the Anbu finally pushed the battle line back, completely destroying this area of the Uchiha clan grounds. Thick smoke billowed, and dust filled the sky. Just as the Anbu's faces lit up with joy, thinking they had dealt with this madman, Denzo's voice rang out at the opportune moment, careful, this guy isn't that easy to deal with. He can fly in the air. As if to verify his words, a luxurious and domineering Vimana burst through the smoke and dust, soaring across the sky. The only thing about you mongrels that is worthy of my attention is that each of you has some insignificant tricks. But to think you can harm this king with that is but wishful thinking. Gilgamesh's disdainful words echoed from the sky once more. The faces of everyone en route darkened. They were reminded once again of the fear of being dominated by this guy more than half a month ago. His mouth was simply too foul. They used to think that the Uchiha clan was the most arrogant and condescending group in the world. Yet today, they learned that there were heavens beyond heavens and people beyond people. Who are you? We have no prior grievances, yet you repeatedly target our Hidden Leaf Village. If you have the guts, state your name. You hide your head and show your tail, yet you dare to call yourself a king. Hiruzen shouted towards the sky while organizing personnel to block the Uchiha's counterattack. He had Hamura Midokado and Koharu Utatane lead a team to block Fugaku's approach. At the same time, he commanded the assembling of all ninjas capable of aerial combat and preparing for takeoff. Various bird summoning techniques were continuously performed. Are you questioning me? You mere mongrels dare to question me? You bask in the glory of being in my presence, yet you don't recognize me. Such ignorant fools don't deserve to live. However, before you die, I, your king, will enlighten you. I am the oldest king in human history, Gilgamesh. I am the only hero, above and below, worthy of the title of king. The rest are nothing but insignificant rabble. All the treasures in the world originated from my collection. Similarly, wherever humans stand, that is my territory. I gave you the opportunity to conquer this new era, this new world, with me after countless years. Yet you failed to cherish it, daring to act presumptuously on my land. Tell me, is this not a crime worthy of death? Seated upon his throne, Vimana, the king of heroes, overlooked the entire land. His resounding voice echoed in all directions. The villagers, who had been instructed to stay home tonight, couldn't resist opening their windows, even their doors, to peek outside. Everyone looked at each other, surprisingly finding his words were an apostrophe T. wrong. Even the Uchihas temporarily ceased fighting, staring blankly at the sky. Such was the sheer charisma and dignity contained in the King of Heroes' words. Could this guy be the reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths? In their understanding, the Sage of Six Paths, the progenitor of ninjas, created ninjutsu, ending the darkest era of war and bringing a brief period of peace to the world. The Sage of Six Paths was the supreme being in the ninja world. Otherwise, who else could possess such confidence, such a tone, to utter those words? Moreover, this person was undeniably powerful, single-handedly defying the #1 hidden village, Hidden Leaf Village. No, don't be fooled. The Sage of Six Paths wouldn't be like this. Indeed, the most distinctive feature of the Sage of Six Paths was the Rinnegan, and he was the ancestor of ninjas. This guy hadn't even used a single ordinary ninjutsu. All he used were bizarre yet undeniably powerful abilities. Sophistry. Charlatan. Don't think you can fool me, the professor of ninjas. Hiruzen bellowed, awakening everyone from their momentary daze. Simultaneously, he commanded all the summoned birds to take flight. Humphrey, insignificant beings who dare to profane the royal authority, I will not show mercy this time. Disappear, mongrels. My resolve shall flood the earth, Malamu Danger. Over 360 gigantic golden ripples suddenly surged in the sky. Like 100 moons in the sky, they illuminated Hidden Leaf Village as bright as day. One after another, gleaming seals of divine right, personally crafted by Gilgamesh during his lifetime, emerged from the golden ripples. Like 360 giant cannons. Uchihas, stand down. This attack will wipe your little village off the map. This shall announce to the world the return of your king. Chapter 51. He had just reconstructed his body, though the power at his command was far greater than it was half a month ago, even capable of unleashing the noble phantasm, Malamu Danger. Doing so could damage his foundation. If he used Malamu Danger once again, it would take at least several years for him to recover. But he couldn't worry about that now. While this world was teeming with petty villains possessing power, not a single one cue of his glorious kingly name. It was time to let these fools who scorn royal authority know that the one and true King of Heroes has arrived. Humphrey. Let this village be the starting point. Experience, in full, the glory of the King. The King of Heroes revealed a delighted smile. 360 seals of divine right, their muzzles gradually converging, amassed a dazzling golden light. The terrifying pressure made everyone tremble with fear. Damn it. What's he trying to do? Such a massive energy fluctuation. Is he trying to destroy Hidden Leaf Village? Can we still escape? Don't worry, with the gathered Anbu Ninja and the Hokage, we can definitely stop him. Under the enormous golden ripples, a light as bright as day brought all of Hidden Leaf Village to a boil. Fire. Whoosh. At its most dazzling moment, the entire sky suddenly darkened. Am I dead? Why did it suddenly go dark? Is this the afterlife? Damn it, why does it look just like Hidden Leaf Village? Idiot, we're fine. We're still in Hidden Leaf Village. Oh, so the daylight turning to night was just an illusion? It must have been transferred away by those powerful ninja using some jutsu. Whoa, this reminds me of the Nine Tails Rampage, when the 4th Hokage transferred away the Tail Beast Bomb. Thank you. The stark contrast caused some ordinary people to lose themselves for a moment. Sensing the disappearance of the anomaly, they began to relax slightly. But the ninja didn't let down their guard, because the dense energy fluctuations hadn't disappeared. But it was higher up in the sky, within the cloud-covered layer. What? My treasure disappeared again. Gilgamesh roared furiously. If the first time was an accident, then this time was clearly premeditated. There must be some unknown scoundrel stealing his treasures. Damn it. How could anyone in this world possess such a disgusting ability? Every time he was right about to unleash a powerful noble phantasm, it would be stolen away. This time, he would find the thief and tear them to pieces. Unlike the Hidden Leaf Village ninja who kept their eyes on the sky, Gilgamesh first swept his gaze across the ground. Finding nothing suspicious, he then faintly sensed the fluctuations coming from higher in the air. Gilgamesh's face stiffened, then his entire body surged with energy, his aura exploding like a Super Saiyan who had just broken through. Damn it! Damn it! Which mongrel dares to fly above this king? Looking up, he saw a small figure slowly descending from the clouds, followed by 360 golden cannons. Terrifying golden energy converged into cannonballs, already loaded and ready to fire. Ding! You have used today's borrowed noble phantasm ability and obtained temporary usage rights to Malamu Danger. The newcomer was Natsuki. Or rather, his Ultraman Zeta puppet. It was this puppet that had altered the trajectory of Hinata's Golden Wheel reincarnation explosion. After that incident, Natsuki had directly controlled it and buried it in a tree hollow in the forest outside Hidden Leaf Village. Upon receiving Artoria's message, he immediately pulled Ino aside, secretly questioning her about Gilgamesh. As expected, Ino had lost control of him. Natsuki already knew that Gilgamesh could act independently. In the Fourth Holy Grail War, he even incited others to betray their own masters. But he didn't expect this separation to be so complete, to the point where even Ino couldn't recall him. Something must have happened, something even he didn't know about. He then ordered Saber, "Go stop Gilgamesh, but don't get involved in other matters in the Uchiha district." He also immediately activated his Tenseigan's ability, manipulating the long-dormant Ultraman Zeta puppet. It was time to make another appearance. He had to clean up the mess he indirectly caused. He didn't expect to completely eliminate the butterfly effect, but at least he had to get the story back on track. Wasn't it good enough for him to be loitering around in the academy, peacefully harvesting his followers, slowly and steadily growing stronger? Anyway, there were taller trees to weather the storm. Following the original storyline, after the Uchiha clan massacre, Hidden Leaf Village's overall strength would plummet to a new low. Afterwards, the third Hokage and others wouldn't dare to make any more drastic, self-destructive moves for fear of Hidden Leaf Village's complete collapse. That would be the most comfortable time for the people and ninja of Hidden Leaf Village. In fact, if Gilgamesh hadn't launched this Hidden Leaf Village destroying Malamudin, he could have turned a blind eye. Cough, it seems like I'm still turning the blind eye. Natsuki touched his eye patch. Why force my hand? I just want to comfortably grow stronger. Hidden Leaf Village was his current home, and he couldn't let anyone destroy it. Besides, once his Chani ability's usefulness ended, wouldn't it be nice to become Hokage himself, or appoint one of his followers to the position? Is that Ultraman Zeta? So touching. Ultraman Zeta has come to save us again. Is this Hidden Leaf Village's guardian deity? The sharp-eyed ninja easily recognized Ultraman Zeta, whose previous appearance had caused a huge sensation in Hidden Leaf Village. Even now, almost everyone in Hidden Leaf Village had an Ultraman model, many of which were made by Hidden Leaf Village merchants themselves. Ultraman Zeta? Gilgamesh also heard the words of the ninja on the ground. But in the next moment, rage consumed him once more. Lowly dogs who only deserve to grovel on the ground, dare to soar in the king's sky. Don't be so presumptuous, mongrel. You detestable thief, let me see just how many of my noble phantasms you can withstand. Suddenly, dazzling golden ripples unfolded behind the King of Heroes, unprecedented in their grandeur, representing his boundless rage. The golden ripples, like stars in the sky, filled the vision of everyone on the ground. Even the summoned beasts in the air stopped in their tracks, horrified. One strong bastard after another appears. Is the ninja world about to change? Shikakunara, the strategist of Hidden Leaf Village, stared blankly at the sky and murmured. Chapter 52, the dense barrage of noble phantasms erupted, as if trying to sweep the clouds from the sky. Damn, there's no reasoning with this golden bastard. Let's try blocking this first. Open fire. 360 cannons fired in unison. Rumble. Golden fragments of flames continuously exploded and vanished. Massive roaring sounds echoed throughout the skies above Hidden Leaf Village. Golden ripples that tore through the air were visible to the naked eye, a storm whipped up by pure energy. On the distant ground, endless gales howled. Mongrel! Mongrel! Gilgamesh raged, piloting Vimana as he soared into the sky. A fierce aerial battle unfolded above Hidden Leaf Village. Gulp! An Anbu member, riding on a large vulture, closed his gaping mouth and swallowed hard. He turned to look at his companion, also flying in the air. Shouldn't we get down to the ground? It's safer, right? Why yeah. Makes sense. Anyway, we have Hidden Leaf Village's guardian deity. Ha ha ha. The Anbu ninja all wore awkward expressions. Thankfully the masks helped to hide their embarrassment and lighten the mood. They had just been pummeled by an unknown guy. Although the damage was minimal thanks to their dense defensive jutsu, the humiliation was intense. They struggled to catch this golden pineapple, and were constantly mocked by him. Now, they were being saved by another unknown guy. Although it was the second time, they really didn't know who Ultraman Zeta was. Considering Choji's Ultraman transformation, this Ultraman Zeta was likely also someone from the village. They were just hidden too deeply to be found. Could it be another child? Everyone, ignore the sky for now, focus on eliminating Fugakuaki. Denzo yelled loudly. Thud. Before he could finish, a figure slammed heavily onto him. It was Natsuki, controlling the Ultraman Zeta puppet. The puppet, a creation from a few years ago, was less than 1.5 meters tall. Fuck. Simultaneously controlling the Malamudin, composed of 360 seals of divine right, and the puppet for the first time caused Natsuki to make a slight error in his micromanagement, causing the puppet to fall. It smashed into a few large birds midair to lessen the impact, but still crashed into the ground. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Oh. It's not broken? I can still control it. Let's continue. Natsuki, still at the academy, thought to himself as his perspective switched back to the puppet. Ultraman Zeta stood up again, patting the dust off himself. Only then did he realize there was someone underneath him, now a mangled mess of flesh and blood, likely beyond recognition even by his own mother. Tough, you guys should heal him quickly. Phew, good. The puppet wasn't damaged, his secret was safe. No, he had to use ultra power. If the puppet was destroyed, things could very well get complicated. Thoughts flashed through his mind. The next moment, the little Ultraman Zeta stomped the ground. Crack. His figure shot upwards. Ah! Transformation. A scream was drowned out by the booming voice shouting transformation. The enormous giant of light, whipping up a massive gust of wind, flew into the air. Oh da-da. He seemed to have stepped on something just now. Oh well. Goldie is more important. On the ground. Several figures rushed to the mangled body. Lord Denzo. Lord Denzo, don't die. A root-masked ninja poked Denzo with a finger. Finding him motionless, he burst into tears. Lord Denzo. He's gone. Cough. Who are you cursing? Old man still has a fighting chance. The bloody figure forced himself up, stubbornly indicating he was still alive. He hadn't become Hokage yet, how could he die so easily, so carelessly? An old warhorse in its stable still yearns for a 1,000-mile journey. Lord Denzo. Lord Denzo. Where are the medical ninja? Hurry. The root ninja joyfully rushed forward to support him. Crack. Ah. Lord Denzo. Gently. My leg. It's broken. Hi. The root ninja, well trained, instinctively raised their hands in acknowledgement. However, because they raised their hands, Denzo, who was being held in the air, was instantly left without support. Thud. Ah. Lord Denzo. Oh, don't touch me. My arm is also broken. Just heal me. Hi. Moments later, a green healing light shone. He was saved. Suddenly, a golden figure plummeted like a cannonball, landing directly on Denzo once again. Boom. Damn you, Saber. How dare you ambush this king? Gilgamesh stomped the ground, his figure rocketing upwards. Countless golden ripples swept out. He leaped back onto his airborne throne, Vimana. It turned out that Saber, Artoria, had finally arrived. Taking advantage of Gilgamesh being suppressed by the Giant of Light and Melamuddin Shur, while he was flying at low altitude, Saber consecutively stomped several flying summon beasts, using the momentum to jump onto Vimana and kick Gilgamesh down. Ding ding ding. Boom boom boom. Intense explosions erupted in the air once more. On the ground. The root ninja, scattered by the noble phantasms, gathered again. Looking at the pile of clothing on the ground. Lord Denzo. Each of them wore an expression of sorrow. Give him a proper burial. No one believed he could survive. Hokage. Yet. Faintly, they seemed to recall the old man's dying cry, using his last breath. It must have been their imagination. Chapter 53, Lord Denzo. Is finished. Give him a proper burial. Avenge Lord Denzo. 4. The root members were disheartened. The person who had always led them was suddenly gone. Their lives, which had been like those of marionettes, suddenly lost their strings, their purpose. They were lost and unable to adapt. Who the fuck are you bastards going to avenge? This old man. This old man is still alive. A faint voice suddenly drifted through the wind. Not far away, a limping old man crawled out of the dirt. It was Denzo. Now, his other eye, which had always been concealed, was now exposed. It had long since lost its luster, completely white. If any Uchiha had seen it, they would have recognized it immediately. He had used Izanagi, sacrificing one of his Sharingan to alter the reality of his death. Only now had the group battle turned into guerrilla warfare. The main battlefield had gradually shifted as the Hokage faction's Anbu advanced, penetrating deep into Uchiha territory. There was no one here except for some root members. That's great. Lord Denzo is alright. Don't waste time, heal me quickly. And keep watch around here, don't let anyone get close. Although Izanagi had reversed his death, it didn't undo his previous injuries. He was still badly wounded. Fugaku Uchiha, surrender. If you are willing to surrender and join my Anbu, past transgressions can be forgiven. The third Hokage, along with the Anbu, surrounded Fugaku's black and red Gundam. Or rather, his Susanoo. Hey! Fugaku responded with another heavy sweep of Susanoo's arm. By now, the more conservative Uchiha should have evacuated with the elderly, women, and children. The remaining radical faction members who had pushed for the coup were almost all eliminated. Without them, the Uchiha wouldn't have rashly launched such a rebellion. He had no regrets. He just wondered if he could take one last old geezer down with him. Cough. A trickle of blood trailed down from the corner of his lips, staining his clothes. The side effects of using the Mangekyo Sharingan were starting to manifest. He wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Suddenly, a blue figure plummeted from the sky. It was Saber, who had been blasted down by Gilgamesh, who had reclaimed the mana. This is another soul-bodied warrior. Fugaku Uchiha's pupils constricted. Gilgamesh's power was undeniable. He had helped them block many enemies and had even been entrusted with the care of his clan members. But he had never seen this one before. Artoria had arrived late and only appeared briefly. Just now, Fugaku's attention had been focused on the surrounding Anbu. He hadn't noticed this blue-armored heroic spirit blast Gilgamesh down and crush Tenzo, assuming this one was also an ally. Ha ha ha. Heaven has not forsaken the Uchiha. If this person could also help protect the Uchiha, then his remaining clan members would definitely secure a place in the ninja world. Without hesitation, he pushed his overloaded Mangekyo Sharingan to its limits. Amaterasu. Endless black flames erupted, forcing back nearby enemies. Spiritual rebirth. Countless rays of light from the surroundings enveloped the blue-armored figure who had just stood up, as if draped in a holy, moonlit veil. Artoria looked at her hands in confusion. She could feel a tremendous power surging from all directions, making her body feel increasingly substantial, gradually freeing her from the need for chakra, magical energy, or any other external source. However, the connection with her young master in her heart remained unbroken, unlike Gilgamesh, who had become independent the moment his soul body was separated. What's going on? What is Fugaku Uchiha doing? Wasn't that blue-armored warrior just helping us fight that king of heroes? Some Anbu, who had been observing the entire battlefield, exclaimed in shock. Don't let him succeed. Everyone, focus your attacks and kill Fugaku. The third Hokage's eyes narrowed. He had a hunch. The Mangekyo Sharingan's abilities were exceptionally mysterious, even capable of controlling the Night Ales. He couldn't be sure if Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan could control these strange newcomers. But judging by the Golden Pineapple's actions, who called himself the King of Heroes, he was clearly being controlled. Otherwise, why would he help the Uchiha? Water style, water severing wave. Fire style, fire dragon flame bullet. High-level jutsu erupted and swept forward. In the blink of an eye, the enormous protective Susanoo was engulfed in the torrent. Master. My physical body seemed to be materializing. Someone here has an ability that can affect me. Artoria, looking at her gradually solidifying body, revealed a hint of surprise and confusion in her pure eyes. The next moment, the giant of light descended from the sky. Chapter 54, we absolutely cannot let him completely control the newcomer. Hiruzen continued to remind the surrounding ninja. All attacks converged on Fugaku's Susanoo. Even Susanoo, known for its strongest defense, couldn't withstand the torrent of jutsu and shuriken. Furthermore, Fugaku was overstraining his Mangekyo Sharingan at the moment. It was completely overturned. Fugaku's eyes, due to the overuse of Amaterasu and spiritual rebirth, continuously bled. Especially spiritual rebirth, he had used this powerful ability twice in a single day. He never thought this normally useless skill would put such a strain on him. This second time, he couldn't even sustain it until the end of the casting. And as a result Susanoo couldn't be maintained any longer, gradually dissipating under the constant bombardment. Fugaku. A scream pierced the air. Mikoto Uchiha, along with several clan members, rushed into the billowing smoke and dust, disregarding their own safety. At this moment, Natsuki also received Saber's message, controlling the giant of light to descend from the sky. The giant was covered in noble phantasms, which were slowly dissipating, returning to their owner's treasury. The giant's chest flickered red repeatedly. Although these attacks couldn't cause substantial damage to the giant of light, they consumed a large amount of Natsuki's chakra. Even with all the abilities he had gained, greatly enhancing his physical and mental strength, and pushing his chakra to that of Kage level, he still struggled to sustain the enormous consumption. It seemed he needed to intensify Hinata's training, extract the complete Tenseigan as soon as possible, and further increase his chakra reserves. What's going on? Someone can fully materialize you? The giant of light looked down at the dreamlike woman below. Not a metaphor, she truly was dreamlike. Her entire body, absorbing energy from heaven and earth, was reshaping itself, existing in a state between illusory and reality. The vast radiance, like a galaxy descending from the sky, was ethereal and magnificent. But now, the source of the radiance seemed to have dried up, the subsequent brilliance like torn silk, slowly dissipating. Yes, Master. But it seems there isn't enough energy. I can probably only materialize halfway. My current state is quite peculiar. I can freely switch between spiritual and physical form. I can also rely on Master's chakra to instantly amplify this energy and complete the physical transformation. But it's not permanent. After a while, I'll revert to my original state. Artoria nodded, her large eyes blinking cutely, still in disbelief at such a strange phenomenon. The world her master had summoned her to was truly wondrous. Her little master was already beyond her comprehension, and now it seemed others also possessed many strange abilities. Could I be resurrected? Would I have a chance to return to Britain? To be a successful King Arthur? I see. I haven't heard of anyone in the ninja world with such an ability. If there is, it would be Fugaku's hidden Mangekyo Sharingan. The Uchiha truly are a fascinating clan. To think they could. The Giant of Light nodded. Just as he was about to sweep away the smoke and dust to search for Fugaku Uchiha, several jutsu were launched towards Saber, who was absorbing the remaining energy. A gigantic hand instantly slammed down, scattering the incoming attacks. What are you doing? Hamura Mikado jumped out. Ultraman, oh, I mean Lord Ultraman Zeta. Fugaku's ocular power is extremely mysterious. He can control the King of Heroes in the sky and this blue-armored woman. This blue-armored woman is very likely an enemy now. Bullshit, I think you're the enemy. With a flick of his finger, as if swatting a fly, he sent Hamura Mikado flying. He hadn't used much force, so the damage was minor, but the humiliation was immense. Several surrounding Anbu instantly froze, not daring to attack Saber again. At the same time, a golden light swooped down. It was the King of Heroes, piloting the Vimana. Like a bomber, he unleashed a barrage of energy attacks, diving straight into Fugaku's location. In the next instant, he soared upwards with incredible speed. Hidden Leaf Village, and you fucking Giant of Light. This king will remember you. Gilgamesh snarled, then vanished into the dark night with Fugaku Uchiha, Mikoto Uchiha, and the few loyal Uchiha elites. Hurry, chase them. Don't let them escape. Koharu Utatane shouted anxiously, but everyone knew that with their speed, they couldn't catch up to Gilgamesh's Vimana. Moments later, Saber finished absorbing the energy. As expected, the transformation wasn't entirely successful. But the foundation had been laid. In the future, with just a touch of the same power, she could instantly and permanently transform into her former physical body. That's enough. Go back, don't let anyone notice. I'm going to see if Gilgamesh is still nearby. Her master's voice echoed in Artoria's mind. Then, the Giant of Light leaped into the air and soared into the sky. Before leaving, he saw some root members in the distance sealing test tubes containing Sharingan into a scroll. Out of humanitarianism, the giant hand swatted them away, took the scroll, and vanished into the night sky, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded root members. They never imagined that the guardian deity of Hidden Leaf Village would attack them. Elsewhere, after enduring that punch from Fugaku's Susanoo, Itachi didn't continue to pursue his father. Instead, he chose to slaughter his way in another direction, killing all the remaining radical, pro-war clan members. At this moment, he was like a demon god from hell, leaving a trail of corpses in his wake. Suddenly, a trembling voice called out. Brother, big brother? What? What are you doing? Sasuke had been brought back by Izumi. On the way, seeing the fierce battle erupting above Hidden Leaf Village, he knew something major had happened. He rushed back to the clan compound, and as expected, there were signs of fighting everywhere. Fearful but resolute, he rushed home. Now, he witnessed his most beloved brother slaughtering their own clan members with his own eyes. Didn't you see? My foolish little brother. Itachi slowly turned around, a sinister smile spreading across his face. Chapter 55, Didn't you see? My foolish little brother. This is merely to test my own capacity. If you don't want to be killed by me, then fear, flee, and live on in disgrace. Itachi slowly turned around, a sinister smile spreading across his face. This can't be real, right? No, it can't be. You're definitely not my brother. Where are Mom and Dad? Sasuke shook his head, backing away repeatedly. They're right here. Itachi pointed to his own eyes. Whether or not I am Itachi, these eyes can't lie. The Mangekyo Sharingan, distinct from ordinary Sharingan, began to spin within his eyes. A blood-red world reflected in Sasuke's eyes, then filled his entire consciousness. Thud. Looking at Sasuke, who had collapsed unconscious with a scream, Itachi's eyes were filled with complex emotions. Although he hadn't personally killed his parents, he assumed they wouldn't survive Hidden Leaf Village's assault. Therefore, in Itachi's Tsukuyomi world, he showed Sasuke a vision of himself slaughtering the entire Uchiha clan, including his parents, leaving behind the words, "When you have the same eyes as me, come find me." Next, he needed to warn Denzo and the others. From today onwards, he would become a missing ninja and join the Akatsuki, monitoring this mysterious organization's every move. From the moment he took action, his only reason for existence in this world was for Sasuke. Ding. The sound of a kunai hitting the ground drew Itachi's attention away from the unconscious Sasuke. Itachi, this can't be real, right? In the corner of the ruined walls, a girl with long, straight black hair and a small tear mole had been standing there for who knows how long. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at Itachi in disbelief. It was Izumi, who had escorted Sasuke back to the compound. Itachi's classmate. A talented girl who had awakened her Sharingan early on. However, lacking practical experience, she had mostly been helping some noble's wife care for cats, with little actual combat. Her father, not a member of the Uchiha clan, had died in the Nine Tails rampage, leading to her awakening her Sharingan at a young age. Afterwards, she followed her mother, Hazuki Uchiha, back to the compound. Considering the Uchiha belief that earlier Sharingan awakening indicated greater talent, her bloodline talent was not low. Now, the Sharingan in her eyes had evolved from 2 tomoe to 3. She saw her mother, Hazuki Uchiha, lying among the mountain of corpses behind Itachi. Itachi. You didn't do this, right? Izumi gritted her teeth, asking again in a trembling voice. Her suppressed emotions caused her ocular power to surge dramatically. The surrounding air began to distort, like being scorched by flames. The broken wall slowly cracked, spiderweb-like fissures gradually spreading. Seeing the newcomer, Itachi was visibly stunned. In the next moment, his eyes darkened. Izumi, I'm sorry. Hearing Itachi's words, which sounded like a tacit confirmation, Izumi finally abandoned all hope, letting out a miserable laugh. You really are something. Those words carried an immeasurable weight of disappointment, grief, and hatred. She abruptly pulled a ninja sword from the ground and swung it, sending a shower of shuriken flying. Blood tears streamed from her eyes as her 3 tomoe Sharingan spun rapidly, on the verge of transforming into the Mangekyo Sharingan. Clang clang clang. A chain swept out from the void, deflecting all the shuriken aimed at Itachi. No one can escape the cycle of this world producing waste. That's why I'm going to reshape this world. I understand your feelings. This place, this world. We don't care about this world anymore. Space trembled. From a distorted vortex, a masked man slowly materialized, blocking the path between Itachi and Izumi. A single, red Sharingan glowed in his eye socket, revealing him to be another Uchiha. Itachi, your eyes waver yet again. Since you can't bring yourself to do it, I'll take care of it for you. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. While he was speaking, several more shuriken flew towards the masked man, only to pass right through him, as if he wasn't solid but merely a phantom. Sigh. Seeing the vast difference in their strength and knowing the inevitable outcome, Itachi just wanted to report to the Hokage and leave this sorrowful place. He leaped up, refusing to watch any longer. Buzz. The chain lashed out fiercely. Izumi, severely lacking in combat experience and without the Mangekyo Sharingan, was no match for him. Within a few exchanges, her ninja sword was knocked away, and she ran out of shuriken. The chain entangled her. The next step would be her inevitable strangulation. Just then, slash. A flash of blade light severed the chain. Who's there? The masked man's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He turned his head to see a blue-armored girl leaping down from the rooftop. You are a freaking grown man. Why are you bullying a little child? Fight me if you dare. Artoria, without pausing, threw another handful of ninja tools she had picked up along the way. Humphrey, just another rabble I have to kill. The masked man instantly activated Kamyu's intangibility, effortlessly neutralizing the attack. Then, solidifying, he lunged at a strangely dressed woman with a kunai. Blood splattered. Ah! Despicable women. How dare you hide your weapon? Obito Uchiha screamed, staggering back. The woman was wielding an invisible weapon. The pot calling the kettle black. Weren't you just hiding your entire body? Hypocrite much? Saber retorted. Gripping her invisible sword with both hands, she charged again. This time, she also utilized her newly acquired ability, shifting between a semi-tangible and intangible state. Ah! How can you use Kami? This time, one of his arms was sliced off. Caught off guard again, Obito's eyes widened in horror. Kamyu was the foundation of his invincibility in the ninja world. How could someone else possess it? No, that wasn't right. This wasn't Kami. She couldn't shift freely. There was a significant delay and lack of coordination. However, it was still astonishing. It allowed her to deliver fatal blows to those unaware of her ability. Obito's expression turned serious. He had thought that this mission to wipe out the Uchiha and collect some Sharingan would be an easy task. He never expected to almost capsize in a ditch. These monsters that had recently appeared in Hidden Leaf Village were far too dangerous. What? This can't be real, right? Itachi, who had returned to report and warn the Hidden Leaf village elders to protect Sasuke, was filled with disbelief and a mix of emotions upon hearing that his parents were alive and had been taken away by the King of Heroes. He instinctively activated his Susanoo, sending Koharu Udatane, who had delivered the news, flying. He had just used Tsukuyomi to tell Sasuke that he had killed the entire Uchiha clan, and now he was being told they were rescued? His parents were alive, and Hidden Leaf Village's future would undoubtedly be more unstable. He felt embarrassed, joyful, and worried. His face, illuminated by the orange-red Susanoo, cycled through a kaleidoscope of emotions. This caused Hiruzen, whose hand had been crippled by Fugaku's desperate attack, Denzo, who had his limbs broken by Gilgamesh and Natsuki, Hamura Mitakato, who had his back thrown out by the Giant of Light, and Koharu Udatane, whose forehead was bruised by Adachi's Susanoo, to feel a surge of worry. The Uchiha's talent was too strong. Could it be that Itachi too had awakened some other strange ability? Chapter 56, You. Why did you bring an Uchiha home? Back at home, Natsuki looked at the extra little girl with long, straight black hair in his bedroom. The same age as Itachi, 13 years old, Natsuki couldn't help but laugh wryly. Wasn't this Izumi Uchiha, who had taken away Sasuke from the academy? The beauty mark under her right eye was too easy to recognize. King Arthur, didn't you just activate the attribute of picking up stray cats and dogs everywhere? Don't you know that the Uchiha and the village are at odds right now? Master. She just became an orphan and was attacked by a murderer. It would have been fine if I hadn't seen it, but I happened to be walking past and saw it. I had to save her. Master, please take her in, she's so pitiful. Artoria's eyes were full of pity. No, even if we take her in. If Anbu finds out eventually, she'll be assassinated. We have to find a way to get her out. Natsuki looked at Izumi, who had been cleaned up by King Arthur and changed out of her dirty Uchiha uniform. She was now wearing his older sister Kurenai's pajamas. Her slightly thin body was curled up in the oversized clothes, hugging her knees in the corner of the bed, looking extremely pitiful. Hey, are you okay? Natsuki gently poked her with his finger. Mom. Izumi slowly turned her head, looked at Natsuki, and softly called out. Her beautiful big eyes didn't reflect Natsuki's image at all, having already lost their luster, as if she had closed herself off from the entire world. What's going on? Was the shock too much for her? Natsuki turned his head and asked King Arthur. I don't know either. When I met her, she was still very energetic, using all kinds of hidden weapons to fight that man. Maybe she hit her head when he pulled her to the ground with his chains, or maybe she shut herself down because she couldn't avenge her family. Damn it, that masked man's abilities were too strange. I couldn't catch him and he ran away. Artoria said fiercely. Obito's Kamui, aside from anything else, was truly the best escape tool. This won't do. You're an Uchiha, you have to pull yourself together. Natsuki put his arms under Izumi's armpits to make her stand up. Unfortunately, she was limp, like a marionette that had lost its control. More importantly, Natsuki was several years younger than her and hadn't reached puberty yet. The height difference was significant. Even when her upper body was upright, her legs were still kneeling. What should we do? Let's find a way to get her back to her senses first. Just then, a knock came from the door. Knock, knock, knock. Natsuki, who are you talking to? Open the door quickly, Hidden Leaf Village is not safe tonight, I'll look after you tonight. Kurenai's voice came from outside the door. Sis, I'm fine. I'm asleep, I was just talking in my sleep. Natsuki quickly shouted, while stuffing Izumi under the covers. Humphrey. Are you trying to fool a child? How can you answer me while you're asleep? If you don't open the door right now, I'll break it down. Coming. Natsuki quickly jumped out of bed and had King Arthur enter stealth mode, planning to have her take care of Izumi later. He trotted over and just as he opened the door, his sister Kurenai scooped him up in her arms. Humphrey. What were you doing? Were you too scared to sleep? Don't worry, after picking you up from the academy, I've been guarding the door the whole time. There are no bad guys here. Kurenai glanced at the room, didn't find anything unusual, and then lifted Natsuki up high. Did you wet the bed? What are you talking about? I'm a big man now. Put me down. Hey. Where are you looking? Really? Don't be afraid, I'll stay with you tonight. Stay with me to wet the bed and blame it on me later? You little rascal. Of course, I just want to put you to sleep. Kurenai. Are you even listening to me? I've really grown up, I'll be 10 in 2 years. Kurenai's eyebrows were rising a bit too fast. Let's go to your room. Hokage's office. Dawn had just broken, and the sky was beginning to lighten. The third Hokage, with bandages and his left arm in a sling, asked, You couldn't catch him either? Denzo, leaning on his crutch, gritted his teeth. No, the Hero King is too fast, no one can catch up to him. And even if we did, a small group of ninjas wouldn't be his match. What about the rest? It seems like a group of Uchiha escaped earlier. Koharu, with a bandage on her forehead, waved her hand. Don't ask me, I'm having a really bad headache right now. Hamura, sitting in a wheelchair, responded, yes, and we've sent people to chase them. But it seems that detestable Golden Pineapple took care of them beforehand. Damn it, continue to send troops to track their movements. Denzo, didn't you say you still have a spy on their side? Yes, that radical Yudoku Uchiha is my man. I promised him that as long as Fugaku and the others are completely dealt with, he would become a Hidden Leaf Village ninja, just like that Sasuke. However, the Uchiha are still too naive. This link cannot be broken, we must continue to maintain contact. Fugaku Uchiha and the Hero King are the key. Hiruzen, while speaking, took out his pipe, wanting to take a puff of tobacco, then realized his left arm was just broken, making his movements suddenly uncoordinated. He couldn't help but sigh, are we really old? The elders were all slumped over, half lying in their seats. Even Denzo, who was always ambitious and constantly stirring up trouble, felt exhausted after being killed once and having most of his Sharingan snatched. Why are you all like this? What kind of example would we be setting if the younger generation sees us like this? You gotta pull yourselves together. The third Hokage, the god of shinobi, couldn't help but encourage his companions. Come on, we didn't get any benefits this time, you took all that was there. Don't bother me, I need to rest. Hamura lay back in his wheelchair, his back slumping again. He felt so tired. Perhaps, it really was time to carefully cultivate the next generation of talents. Chapter 57. The next day, the Uchiha incident shook the entire ninja world. Itachi Uchiha massacred most of his clan and became a Hidden Leaf Village S-rank missing ninja. Also listed as S-rank missing ninja were Fugaku, Mikoto, and Yamagan, among others. At the same time, the Hidden Leaf Village leadership strictly forbade villagers from discussing the matter. They only knew that overnight, the often seen and impersonal Uchiha Hidden Leaf Village police force had become history. And at Itachi's request, the news that Fugaku and others were still alive was not revealed to young Sasuke, in order to motivate him to strive for strength. The Uchiha clan district was completely reduced to ashes by a great fire that same night. Thus, Sasuke, whose family was alive, suddenly became an orphan. In addition, Hidden Leaf Village's Giant of Light, and the King of Heroes Gilgamesh, who had left Hidden Leaf Village, began to truly enter the spotlight of various hidden villages in the ninja world. From that day on, spies from other hidden villages infiltrated Hidden Leaf Village more frequently. A month later, and Sasuke finally returned to school. This time, he had completely transformed from a lively and energetic little boy into the aloof and cold teenager from the original story. The temperature seemed to drop by a few degrees within a 3-meter radius around him. Even Naruto, who was usually boisterous, didn't dare to provoke him at this time. Soon, the day's lessons ended with a teacher deliberately lowering his voice. Natsuki, can you teach me ninjutsu? Just as the teacher and students gradually left the classroom, and the moment Natsuki stepped out of the classroom door, Sasuke's voice came from behind. Although his tone was calm, Natsuki could still detect a hint of longing in it. Haha, Sasuke, you've also noticed Natsuki's extraordinariness, haven't you? However, Natsuki's ninjutsu is not something just anyone can learn. Naruto slammed the table and shouted loudly. Snobby little Sasuke had finally spoke after making him worry all day. Now he was actually taking the initiative, wanting to join Natsuki's small team. How could this be allowed? Even I haven't become an official member yet. He immediately couldn't help but retort, do you know why? Because your voice isn't as loud as mine, ha 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 ha. Naruto put his hands on his hips and laughed loudly, but then realized that no one was paying attention to him, so he squatted down and started drawing circles on the side. Why? Isn't the teacher teaching us basic ninjutsu little by little? Today we've already started learning the body replacement jutsu. Natsuki looked into Sasuke's eyes and asked. I learned the body replacement jutsu a long time ago. I want to learn powerful ninjutsu that can defeat a certain someone. The teacher can't teach me that, but you can. Sasuke said with firm eyes, ignoring Naruto who was fooling around beside him. As Naruto said, my ninjutsu isn't something just anyone can learn, and I can't guarantee that you can learn it. Do you still want to learn? Yes. Seeing Sasuke's affirmative attitude, Natsuki nodded, opened his backpack, and took out a small card. Then let me see if you have the aptitude. Take this card, follow the words written on it, and go shout it at the highest place in Hidden Leaf Village until sunset. If you're not afraid of the strange looks and words from others, and can endure shouting from the highest point of Hidden Leaf Village till sunset, then I'll teach you. By the way, without the courage to face simple hardship like those I've just mentioned, even if I teach you, you won't be able to learn it. After saying that, Natsuki picked up his backpack and left the classroom. Behind him, Naruto shouted loudly, "Natsuki, can I learn it too?" Then go shout together. Soon after, Sasuke and Naruto went together to the highest place in Hidden Leaf Village, the Hokage Rock. Originally, Sasuke didn't want Naruto to follow him, but after seeing the contents of the card, even he, who thought he could do anything to defeat that man, had his eyes trembling uncontrollably and his thoughts wavering. Finally, he breathed a sigh of relief and let Naruto follow him. After all, it's better to enjoy happiness together than alone. Shared happiness is double the happiness, right? This is the highest place in Hidden Leaf Village, right? Hurry up and take out the card, let me see what I need to read. Hurry up, or the sun will set. Arriving at the top of the Hokage Rock, Naruto patted his chest. He was familiar with the Hokage Rock, having beautifully painted it several times. Phew. Sasuke took a deep breath and gave the card to Naruto. He wondered if it would scare him away. This is. Unexpectedly, after Naruto took the card, his eyes lit up with incomparable excitement. As expected, Natsuki is a master of attracting attention. I never thought of such amalgamation of words. This time, I will definitely gain the attention of the entire Hidden Leaf Village. Sasuke was completely speechless. How did this Naruto's brain work? What kind of thought process was this? As expected, he and this guy were not the same kind of people. What he felt embarrassed about and couldn't bear to even think about, the other party was actually overjoyed about and couldn't wait to announce it to the whole world. Let's begin. Sasuke. Let Hidden Leaf Village hear our voices. Do you want to go first? Or should I? Was he that eager? You can go first. As expected, his heart was still not strong enough, not firm enough. Sasuke clenched his small fists. But Naruto didn't pay attention to that. Instead, he took 2 firm steps forward. He stood tall and proud, overlooking the entire Hidden Leaf Village. Then, he opened his big mouth and roared out, "Explode, reality. Crumble, spirit." Chapter 58, Explode, Reality. Crumble, Spirit. I am the wielder of black flames, let this smoke-filled world be cleansed by the inextinguishable black flames. Naruto's loud voice instantly attracted the attention of the people around the Hokage Rock. PFFT, who is that? Damn it, it's that naughty Nine-Tails brat again. He should be locked up. I don't understand why Lord Hokage let him out so freely. From the crowd, one hurtful comment after another followed. However, this didn't make Naruto retreat in the slightest. On the contrary, he became even happier because he felt the attention of the crowd. See? As expected, these words are very eye-catching. Naruto turned sideways, gave a thumbs up, and showed a mouthful of white teeth, smiling at Sasuke. Idiot. You're a big idiot. Sasuke's face was gloomy, but there was a slight tremor in his eyes. Only now did he truly realize that Naruto was also an orphan. Just like him. Move aside, your tone is wrong, and you said the lines wrong. Watch me. Sasuke also took 2 steps forward, standing side by side with Naruto at the top of the Hokage Rock. Explode, reality. Crumble, spirit. I am the wielder of black flames. I will do my best to let the inextinguishable black flames cleanse this smoke-filled world. This time, even more villagers gathered. What's going on? That seems to be the Uchiha survivor, right? SHHH, do you want to die? You can't talk about the Uchiha. What are they doing? Did they get infected by the demon Nine-Tails? It's possible. Should we call the ninja adults over? The crowd was buzzing with discussion, and even some ninjas had noticed them. However, neither of these two's identities were something they could touch. As long as they weren't taken out of the village by suspicious individuals and didn't do anything dangerous, they wouldn't bother to stop them. Moreover, that little Uchiha had just experienced the night of the clan massacre. However, was it really okay to let them carry on like this? Should they report it to the Hokage? TSK. Your voice is too low, it's far worse compared to mine. Naruto said dissatisfiedly. Forget it, I won't compete with you this time. Let's do it together. How about you say one line, I say the next one. Sasuke put his hands in his pockets, speaking with a proud look. Because of Naruto's presence, he no longer felt the initial embarrassment. Alright, is this a competition? You're going to lose. This is my home turf. Naruto also raised his head, looking down at people with his chin. Hee, then let's begin. This time, I'll go first. Sasuke Uchiha, explode, reality. Naruto Uzumaki, crumble, spirit. The two were as thick-skinned as city walls, their voices rising and falling in a competition. The setting sun in the sky began to gradually sink, and a brilliant fiery cloud appeared. The entire earth was bathed in a crimson glow. It reflected a dazzling light in their eyes. No one can escape the cycle of this world producing waste. Cleanse the world. Reshape the world. In the corner of the crowd, a young girl in a black robe and a hood murmured with a numb expression. Beside the girl, Natsuki watched his two little friends performing hard on the Hokage rock, and said softly, "See? Even in the most difficult times, they never lost hope. Can you believe it? They are destined to reach the pinnacle of this ninja world." The girl's eyes gradually lit up with a glimmer of light. It was Izumi Uchiha, who had been rescued by King Arthur. For a month, Natsuki had tried every means, but he could only occasionally help her break free from her self-imposed isolation, slightly opening a crack in her heart. This time, taking advantage of Sasuke's request, he brought her along. All three were orphans. Perhaps they could find some resonance in each other's voices. "They are just like you. You know them, one is named Sasuke Uchiha, and the other is Naruto Uzumaki." These words finally caused a slight stir in the girl. Her empty eyes became increasingly brighter. "Can I go up there?" The girl's voice was as soft as a mosquito. "Yes." Natsuki nodded, then warned, "However, if you are discovered by Aunt Boo, you will likely lose your life." "Then, do you want me to go up?" The girl tilted her head, looking at Natsuki. At this moment, her eyes clearly reflected Natsuki's image. Perhaps, fading away while burning brightly is better than becoming a walking corpse. "But, let me make this clear, we will not be saving you this time." "All right. I'm going up there." "Right, take this with you." The girl caught the exquisite badge that Natsuki tossed over. The badge had a background of an endless abyss, with a dazzling magic circle on it. Izumi tilted her head again, looking at Natsuki with a slightly puzzled expression. Today was the day her facial muscles had moved the most in an entire month. As her heart opened, many self-sealed memory fragments slowly began to surface. After you go up, you can no longer hide your identity and return. Either perish in a daze in the land where you were born and raised, or completely wake up and remember who you are. At that time, we will send you away from Hidden Leaf Village. This badge is the symbol of the Dimensional Ends congregation that I founded. Perhaps it can grant you some luck. If you have the aptitude. The aptitude for being a Chunin. The girl carefully pinned it to the most prominent position on her left chest. Naruto, wow, Sasuke. Look, so many people. As expected, just learning a little bit from Natsuki is enough to attract everyone's attention. Sasuke, yeah, the most incredible thing is that I'm shouting nonsense here with you, a big idiot, and I don't feel embarrassed. Have I been assimilated by your remaining brain cell? But with these shouts, the suppressed feelings he had held since the clan massacre a month ago were greatly relieved. He felt much more comfortable. Could this be Natsuki's purpose? To gain great power, you have to first step out of the shadow of the past. For the first time, Sasuke felt that he, too, had an epiphany. If there was anyone in the class that Sasuke couldn't understand but held off for, it was only Natsuki. Can you speak like a normal human? Don't just stand there and continue. Didn't Natsuki say to shout until sunset? We're almost there. Naruto angrily kicked Sasuke. Just as they were about to continue, a person wearing a black robe and a hood covering their face walked out from behind them. Can I shout with you? The newcomer was Izumi. She originally wanted to ask them, as orphans, how they could live so comfortably in this world, why their eyes were still full of hope, just why. Finally, when she truly came to their side, thousands of words were reduced to this one sentence. Sure, big sister, do you also want to gain attention? Naruto recognized her as an older sister from her voice and height. Although he was a little reluctant to share the attention with another person, he still agreed, as he didn't know how to refuse girls. Then, let's begin. The sun is about to set, let's use all our remaining strength. Explode, reality. Crumble, spirit. Naruto, I am the wielder of black flames, let this smoke-filled world be cleansed by the inextinguishable black flames. Sasuke, I am the wielder of black flames. I will do my best to let the inextinguishable black flames cleanse this smoke-filled world. Izumi Uchiha, I am the crusader of the crimson flame. In this life, my flames will continue to grow stronger to burn away the darkness. In this world, I will strive to rebuild a world of harmony for all. I firmly believe that my clansmen, my loved ones, have not perished, they are always by my side, silently supporting me. The voices of the three rose one after another. Finally, Izumi's voice seemed to explode in the sky above Hidden Leaf Village, echoing in all directions. That. Big sis. You recited the lines. Wrong. Naruto turned his head in astonishment, his head buzzing. For the first time, He was willing to bow down in terms of his proud loud voice. He stopped mid-sentence, but was suddenly stunned by the huge change in the young lady beside him. A powerful airflow suddenly rose, blowing off the girl's hood. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, gradually turning into a brilliant red, then the color became brighter and brighter, with faint flames flickering. Her 3 Tomoe Sharingan spun rapidly. The ocular power that had surged during the night of the clan massacre, the eyes that were close to evolution finally ushered in a qualitative change. The 3 Tomoe connected with her pupils, transforming into the shape of a blade. The black in her eyes disappeared, replaced by an increasingly bright flame color. The Crusader of the Crimson Flame. Sister Izumi. Sasuke's jaw dropped in surprise, recognizing the older sister who had protected him on his way home. Then the girl leaped into the air. The last sight of the 2 little sprouts landed on the shining exquisite badge on her chest. Chapter 59, What's going on? There's another person. A suspicious person has appeared, stop them. Is it a spy from another village? We absolutely can't let them near the Jinchuriki. Below the Hokage Rock, several guard ninjas who were keeping a close watch on Naruto were the first to discover the anomaly. A figure wearing a black robe and a hood to conceal their form had appeared beside Naruto and Sasuke. Just as they thought this person was going to do something to the Jinchuriki and the Uchiha survivor, something astonishing happened. This person actually started making a scene with the Jinchuriki, shouting those childish, cringe-worthy words. Were they feeling embarrassed, so they concealed their identity? The key was that this person's voice was very clear and crisp, and it was actually a girl's voice. Childish, you think shouting can purify the world? Do you think you're Ultraman? Don't be ridiculous. Come down. Get away from them, or don't blame us for being impolite. The guard ninjas flew to the foot of the Hokage Rock and yelled. Their purpose was to drive back this suspicious person and attract her attention. Another group had already started to take a detour up. But the black-robed girl ignored their shouts, her clear and bright voice growing louder and louder. It seemed to no longer come from her still slightly immature body, but from the endless void. In this life, my flames will continue to grow stronger to burn away the darkness. Not only the guard ninjas at the foot of the Hokage Rock, but also the gradually gathering crowd began to show signs of commotion. Perhaps people from other places would not be familiar with it. But as Hidden Leaf villagers, they had already experienced this several times in just a few short years. Whenever such a world-shaking voice appeared, strange things were bound to happen. Wait a minute. No. Stop her. The guard ninjas couldn't care about anything else anymore and leaped towards the black-robed girl on the Hokage Rock. They are always by my side, silently supporting me. As the last sentence ended, a powerful airflow suddenly rose. The hood was blown away, revealing long black hair that quickly transformed into fiery red hair sparkling with sparks. The 3 Tomoe Sharingan transformed into a flame-colored beautiful blade. Izumi stepped forward and leaped out from the Hokage Rock as she dodged the guard ninjas' attacks. A pair of flame-formed wings suddenly spread out from her back, stopping her descent. Her flaming wings carried Izumi, and she soared over the heads of the dense crowd. Sprinkles of sparks fell from the path she flew, disappearing before they even landed. A fleeting path of sparks in the air caught everyone's eyes. So beautiful. Mom, come out and see the angel. The crowd let out envious exclamations. Who hadn't fantasized about having a pair of wings and soaring across the vast sky? The refreshing breeze brushed against her face, completely dispelling the confusion in Izumi's heart. She remembered everything, the night of the clan massacre, her friends, relatives, and her dearest mother being killed by her favorite classmate and clansman. Her angry counterattack was easily broken by his companion. She couldn't even touch a single hair on him. The gap in their power felt like a chasm to her. She had originally resigned herself to death, but unexpectedly, she was saved by a heroic and beautiful older sister, who was actually Natsuki's subordinate. Not only did they not dislike her, but they also helped her through a month of muddle-headedness. Now, they had even bestowed upon her such strength, giving her the hope of revenge, the confidence to cleanse the darkness of this world. Thank you. Izumi murmured, her eyes scanning the crowd below, but the mysterious small figure who seemed to carry the whole world had long since disappeared. In this life, there was nothing she could do to repay them. After this matter was over, she was willing to be like that older sister, serving them like an old ox or a horse. Feeling the surging power within her, the strong and fiery pupils, she recalled Natsuki's occasional murmurs in the bedroom. He said that this fucked up world was the source of these tragedies, then she would clear the path for him first. Of course, that certain insane guy couldn't be spared either. This was the meaning of her existence, the meaning for as to why she was still alive. Uchiha, it's an Uchiha survivor. I just saw it, she has the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, something different but definitely similar. Quickly inform Lord Hokage. Another flying ninja, what does she want to do? This time, we must take down the intruder. The Hidden Leaf Village ninjas quickly exchanged information. A masked ninja, in the process of pursuing, quickly opened a ceiling scroll. Super Beast imitating drawing. An eagle drawn with ink and brush soared into the sky, straight towards the flaming angel. Sensing the threat from the side, Izumi instinctively drew the ninja sword from her waist, the one she had picked up from the ground and used to attack the masked man on the night of the clan massacre. As the sword left its sheath, it was as if a fiery red chain had been drawn out. The chakra in her hand instinctively surged forth, the sharp and tough blade transforming into a dazzling flame blade. With a single swing, a vast sea of fire suddenly appeared in the sky. The eagle drawn with ink and brush vanished in the blink of an eye. The sea of fire created a blazing path, drawing a beautiful trajectory as it surged towards the distance, as if to merge with the fiery clouds on the horizon. This strike stunned everyone for a moment. Another Mangekyo Sharingan. This clan is truly too strong, their potential is too great. Indeed, I'm beginning to understand why this clan was purged from Hidden Leaf Village due to various issues. Several Anbu ninjas who had just arrived exchanged glances, seeing a trace of fear in each other's eyes. Izumi Uchiha, stop. Your enemy is not us. Although the Uchiha clan has become history in Hidden Leaf Village, we still welcome you to stay in Hidden Leaf Village, just like little Sasuke. After all, Hidden Leaf Village is the place where you were born and raised. I believe your mother and friends in heaven would not want to see you harm Hidden Leaf Village. The third Hokage arrived in time and immediately launched a benevolent and peaceful offensive, playing the emotional card. He had an impression of this Izumi Uchiha. She had awakened her Sharingan early on the night of the Nine Tails attack, and her talent was no less than Itachi Uchiha's. But she didn't have the status of the clan leader's son like Itachi. So when she graduated from the academy and became a Genin, he immediately arranged for her to carry out small missions that would occupy her time. And she went on to raise cats for some noble's wife. Thus, far away from battle and training, her talent could only stagnate. He didn't expect that the night of the clan massacre would stimulate her, allowing her to successfully awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. As expected, gold would always shine, even if placed in a pit of manure. It was just a matter of time. He just didn't know how much this innocent child knew about the truth. After all, the coup was launched right after she was summoned back by the clan leader. Are you talking about them? Izumi flapped her flame wings and slowly landed on the roof in front of Hiruzen. Her right eye had been throbbing faintly, and some familiar figures appeared in her vision. They haven't left, they've always been by this Izumi's side, she said, holding her hand to her heart. As if by instinct, the power of her right eye suddenly activated. A pale red domain spread out from Izumi as the center. In an instant, it enveloped the area where the Hokage and his group were standing, spreading out further. One figure after another descended into the domain. This is... Hiruzen and the others' pupils constricted slightly, feeling their hearts clench. The deceased members of the Uchiha clan appeared one by one, with kind smiles on their faces. The sense of reality, and the lack of disordered chakra on their bodies, made them realize that this was not an illusion. Izumi. Mom. On the rooftop, Izumi nestled happily in a woman's arms. Chapter 60. What? What's going on? A month ago, weren't they all killed by Itachi? Ganjutsu, this must be Ganjutsu. My chakra isn't disrupted, and I've already dispelled any Ganjutsu on you. It's still not working, so it seems it's not that. Don't underestimate the Uchiha's Ganjutsu. Maybe this is some kind of collective illusion we can't understand. Let me hit you. If you feel pain, then you'll break free from the illusion. Why don't you let me hit you? Meanwhile, a bit further away from the third Hokage, ordinary Hidden Leaf Village ninja, who were also trapped within the domain, were chattering amongst themselves. They deliberately made noise to attract attention while observing the reactions of the large group of Uchiha who had suddenly appeared. But they found that the Uchiha were acting like ordinary people, as if they were standing in their own clan grounds, chatting with each other, their faces brimming with harmonious smiles. Some even glared at them strangely, as if they were disturbing their harmonious life. It's too real. If I didn't know for sure that they were gone, I would think this was real. Just then, several Uchiha walked towards them. They're coming. Be careful. This unusual action immediately put the Hidden Leaf Village ninja on high alert. Hey, you guys, what are you sneaking around here for? This is Uchiha territory. If you don't leave, we won't be polite. An Uchiha, clearly the captain, stepped forward and shouted. This. The Hidden Leaf Village ninja looked at each other. You're the one sneaking around. And how is this Uchiha territory? Your clan grounds were destroyed long ago. I'm Matsumoto Kofu. I'm a Chunin from Hidden Leaf Village. We're just passing through here, don't mind us. Oh, right, this is the Artolfi. The quick-witted ninja took out a few banknotes and handed them over, deliberately touching the Uchiha's hand. The moment he touched him, he shuddered. Oh my god. The hand was naturally warm like that of an actual living human. He's a real person. Matsumoto Kofu discovered a crucial detail and immediately turned to warn his companions. Humphrey, hurry up and leave. Don't stay here. If you weren't a Hidden Leaf Village ninja, I would have arrested you. The Uchiha pocketed the money, snorted coldly, and turned around to beckon the other Uchiha, returning to where they had been standing. On my mother. This shit is too real. The mouths of several Hidden Leaf Village ninja dropped open wide enough to fit an apple. Were the Uchiha not really massacred, and they were instead? Is this an afterlife designed around Hidden Leaf Village? Nonsense, hot blood still flows through my veins. Humphrey, I think we should just spar with them and find out what's going on. Makes sense. Maybe they're just paper tigers trying to scare us. But what if they're not? Can a few chunin like us beat a group of elites? The Hidden Leaf Village ninja engaged in a heated discussion. Just as they were hesitating, trying to decide whether to retreat and seek reinforcements, the Uchiha returned. The Uchiha captain stepped forward again and shouted, "Hey, you guys, what are you sneaking around here for? This is Uchiha territory. If you don't leave, we won't be polite." Oh. We'll leave right away, right away. The quick-witted ninja, Matsumoto Kofu, nodded repeatedly. But in the next instant, he froze. Wait a minute. Why did that sound so familiar? Wasn't that exactly what they said about a minute ago? Could it be? To confirm his suspicions, Matsumoto Kofu once again loudly introduced himself. I'm Matsumoto Kofu. I'm a chunin from Hidden Leaf Village. We were just passing through. Oh, right, this is our toll fee. He handed over the money again. Sure enough, after another warning, the Uchiha left. Damn, there's definitely something wrong with them. These guys seem to only have the memory of a lizard. Even his companions had noticed it. But what if he's just trying to scam you? Another companion raised an objection. Good point, but it's easy to find out. We'll change our approach. Kofu nodded and told his companions to wait another minute. During this minute, they sent someone to call for backup, but after walking a short distance, they ended up back where they started. It seemed that leaving the domain directly was impossible. A minute later, the Uchiha came back, shouting the same words. This time, Kofu didn't offer any money. Instead, he boldly said, "Sir, you just took 1,000 ryo from us as a toll. Why are you here to chase us away again?" Bullshit. When did I ever take your money? The Uchiha captain frowned and shouted. In your pants right pocket. Matsumoto Kofu seemed angry as well, quickly pointing at his pocket. Really? The Uchiha captain reached into his pocket and actually pulled out 1,000 ryo. Look, this is what I just gave you. I've already paid twice. Scoundrel. This is what my son gave me this morning. You're actually coveting such a small amount of money. You must be a spy from another village. Men, seize them. Interrogate them thoroughly. The Uchiha captain roared. What? Not only did you take my money, but you're also pretending to be my dad. This is too much. Too much, I say? Brothers, charge. Kofu was furious. He had wasted 1,000 ryo and had even gained a fake dad. As expected, in the ninja world, strength reigns supreme. Don't just stand there. Charge. There's something wrong with these Uchiha. Wind style. Boom. Thump. Thump. Within a few rounds, the Hidden Leaf Village chunin were taken down by a single ganjutsu from the Uchiha captain. Damn, that captain is a jonin. When Matsumoto Kofu opened his eyes again, he and his companions were tied up and were being dragged deeper into the alley. Along the way, they saw Hidden Leaf villagers being captured as well, all being escorted in the same direction. On the roof of a building in that direction stood a young girl with dark eyes. It was Azumi. It's over. Just as Matsumoto Kofu was filled with despair, a little girl with a traditional Chinese bun hairstyle, wearing a small kippah, skipped out of the alley. The surrounding Uchiha seemed oblivious to her existence. What's going on? Why aren't the Uchiha attacking you? The sharp-eyed Kofu spotted the anomaly and quickly asked. Mister, are you asking me? Yes, please tell me. The little girl scratched her head and said, I don't know. The Uchiha here are strange. After I gave them some money, they left me alone. Kofu frowned. I gave them money too, why did they capture me? How many times did you pay them? 10 times. PFFT. How much each time? 1,000 ryo. PFFT. Matsumoto Kofu quickly checked his pouch. His face darkened, and he felt like spitting out a mouthful of blood. He didn't bring enough money. Whose child are you? What's your name? Why are you carrying so much money with you? Although the purchasing power of ryo wasn't that high, with a bowl of ramen costing as much a few dozen or nearly 100 ryo, for a little girl to casually carry around so much meant she was too rich. My name is Ten. And this is just my allowance. PFFT. Matsumoto Kofu, suffering blow after blow both physically and mentally, fell backward and was slowly dragged into the alley. Chapter 61, Ding. The Evil King's Eye System's true power activates. Izumi Uchiha, atop the Hokage rock, releases a primal scream, thoroughly comprehending her own ninja way and awakening the Mengekyo Sharingan. Through the Evil King's Eye System's extraction, you have obtained the abilities of this Mengekyo Sharingan, your eye's external appearance +1. You can freely control whether the Mengekyo Sharingan is visible or not. This will not affect the activation of its abilities. Mengekyo abilities, 1. Control flames, 2. Sealing domain, 3. Susanoo, you can freely alter Susanoo's external form without affecting its strength. A series of notification sounds rang out, and Natsuki felt a burning sensation in his eyes. A surge of immense ocular power gushed forth, and his mental energy took the opportunity to elevate itself to a new level. Even the mystic eyes of death perception in his left eye received a noticeable boost in usage duration. Phew. Walking down the street, the flames in his eyes gradually subsided. Natsuki let out a soft breath. This was an unexpected delight. He hadn't anticipated that recruiting Izumi into the Dimensional Ends congregation on a whim would actually have such a miraculous effect. Of course, more importantly, she possessed the soul of a Chiyunabiu. As for the abilities Control Flames and Susanoo, those were easy to understand. But what did Sealing Domain mean? Recalling Izumi's earlier display, Natsuki had a vague guess. Then, focusing his mind, he quietly activated the Sealing Domain himself. Sure enough. Sealing Domain creates a controllable domain with a 100-meter radius. Within it, you can use ocular power to materialize your own army. The strength and number of this army increase with the enhancement of your own ocular power. This ability is similar to the power of a character from another work. The ability was similar to Flame Hayes Mathild St. Omer's Order of Knights, which was formed by her visualization of what embodied strength. Each soldier formed from this unrestricted ability could engage in independent combat. The difference from the two is that, the Order of Knights of Natsuki is formed using ocular power, and its number of soldiers he could summon couldn't compare to the Crimson Lord Flame of Heaven, the previous contractor of Mathild. But it also had its own unique features. For example, Izumi summoned the deceased members of her clan as her Order of Knights. Each squad within her Order of Knights was about as strong as ordinary ninjas. However, the squad captains possessed the abilities of Jonin and could utilize their own jutsu. In this way, Izumi instantly gained the strength of a Kage-level shinobi. Currently, the truly combat-capable forces within Izumi's domain were the 7 Jonin Uchiha captains. The rest are miscellaneous, ordinary ninjas wearing Uchiha uniforms. But the power of this ability lies in the fact that as long as there is sufficient ocular power, these soldiers in the Order of Knights are immortal and indestructible. Moreover, those trapped within the domain cannot easily escape. There are several ways to break the domain though. One is to make Izumi stop using her Mengekyo, another is to render her incapacitated, or exhaust her ocular power. Furthermore, the domain has its own lifeline. As long as one complies with the domain's rules, they can leave unharmed. Just like the little rich girl, Ten, earlier. After handing over enough money, she was able to freely leave the domain. As long as Izumi doesn't actively modify the rules or control the Order of Knights to attack her, these Order of Knights will ignore Ten's existence. And she won't be like others, walking to the edge of the domain only to be led back to the starting point like encountering a ghost wall. This is too much fun. If Izumi needs money in the future, couldn't she just stand on a merchant road, activate the domain, and harvest every day? What if I can replace the captain figures in my domain with members of the Akatsuki? Interesting, so interesting. Looking at Izumi in the distance, who had unconsciously activated her domain, Natsuki couldn't help but give her a thumbs up in his mind. Compared to the ordinary Hidden Leaf village ninja who had already begun to riot, the Anbu further back were calmly observing everything. We seem to be trapped in one place by some unknown method. To untie the bell, you need the person who tied it. Lord Hokage, let's directly deal with this Izumi. After discussing amongst themselves, an Anbu ninja turned and respectfully proposed. Indeed, this should be an ability of the Mengekyo Sharingan. I have to admit, the Uchiha's Mengekyo is truly extraordinary, capable of creating such a bizarre scene. But, it's time to end this. No matter how real all this seems, this is not reality. Deceased souls should go where they belong. All personnel, listen to my command. Eliminate all enemies in sight with full force. The objective is to capture Izumi. Hiruzen nodded and waved his right hand, issuing the order. The dozen or so Anbu ninjas around him immediately charged towards Izumi, who was standing on a rooftop in the back, nestled in her mother's arms. Perhaps it was because the killing intent they emitted was too strong, or perhaps because their target was the master of the domain herself. All the Uchiha within the domain immediately put down what they were doing, their amicable demeanor vanishing completely. All of them turned to face the Anbu, brimming with killing intent. Where did these scoundrels come from, daring to intrude upon the Uchiha clan's land? Leave none alive. Kill them. Dozens of Uchiha, aggressive and menacing, surrounded them from all directions. Fire style, Great Fireball Jutsu. Fire style, Dragon Fire Jutsu. They unleashed Uchiha's signature fire style jutsu head-on. Water style, Water Formation Wall. Several Anbu immediately used water style for defense. The surging torrent of water firmly blocked the incoming attacks from the front. The remaining Anbu dispersed, continuing to advance towards Izumi from the flanks. Demonic illusion, tree binding death. But they were quickly disrupted by enemy Ganjutsu. Hold on. These Uchiha's overall combat abilities are not strong. Only the captain level can use jutsu, the others are just ordinary people who can throw some shuriken and kunai. Hiruzen, closely observing the battle from the rear, quickly analyzed the situation within the domain to understand the opponent's Mangekyo ability. As long as he understood the opponent's ability, he would definitely find a way to counter it. Moreover, judging from the current situation, it wasn't that impressive. The Anbu's spirits were greatly boosted. No longer conserving chakra, they unleashed a barrage of powerful jutsu. Sure enough, they quickly eliminated all dozens of Uchiha. Just as they were about to press forward and capture Izumi and her mother, a red light flashed, and the dozens of Uchihas who had just disappeared reappeared before their eyes. Where did these scoundrels come from, daring to intrude upon the Uchiha clan's land? Leave none alive. Kill them. The Uchiha captain roared again. What's going on? Were they resurrected? Do we have to fight them all over again? Damn it, I'm running low on chakra. We can't capture Izumi in front of these elites who clearly have Jonin level strength without clearing them permanently first. Damn it, I don't believe they can be resurrected again. Let's go. The Anbu gritted their teeth and charged forward once more. After a haze of smoke and a raging inferno of water and fire, the angry roar resounded from the front once again. Where did these scoundrels come from, daring to intrude upon the Uchiha clan's land? Leave none alive. Kill them. An Anbu, exhausted of both chakra and stamina, finally couldn't hold on any longer. His knees buckled. He kneeled. Chapter 62, What's going on? Those Uchihas just abandoned us and ran off in a hurry. In a narrow alley, Matsumoto Kofu, tied up on the ground, wriggled like a caterpillar. It seems like there's a fierce battle happening in the northwest. Earlier, there were only sporadic sounds of fighting, but now they're all concentrated in that direction. His companions were also tied up and immobile. Sure enough, the fighting in the northwest intensified, the loud roars gradually. This is our chance. Quick, use your teeth to bite through the ropes, we need to get out of here fast. All the Uchihas were drawn to the commotion. No problem, let's all huddle together. Quickly, Matsumoto Kofu and his companions wriggled together, gnawing at the ropes binding their hands. Crack, crack. Damn it, this hemp rope is so tough. Don't worry about it, just try harder. If we're too late, those Uchihas will finish off their enemies and come back for us. Makes sense, watch this. Ha crack. Ow. What's wrong? It's so hard, I chipped a tooth. Just as Kofu and the others, like hamsters, desperately ground at the ropes with their teeth, a voice suddenly rang out. Uncle, do you need help? It was Ten, who, conforming to the rules of the domain, could freely wander within it, returning after a brief absence. Matsumoto Kofu looked at the rope, frayed and almost broken, and then at the two teeth he had chipped off onto the ground beside him. Tears welled up in his eyes. An angel. Why didn't you come sooner? But, thank you anyway. I'm so touched, I finally don't have to gnaw anymore. Thank you. The words whistled out from his mouth, missing two front teeth. Kofu and his companions, their mouths full of rope fragments, exchanged glances. They wept. Facing the third wave of resurrected Uchihas, the Anbu finally couldn't hold on any longer. Lord Hokage, it's no good, we can't hold on much longer. Fighting like this is pointless, we have to find another way. Izumi hasn't made a move. I suspect she's asleep in her own world. Perhaps we can wake her up and break this ability. It's useless. Even this much loud noise can't wake her. We have to get closer and physically wake her up. But we can't get close to her. The closer we get, the more frantic those Uchiha ghosts become, trading blows with us like they don't value their lives. Sorry, I almost forgot they've already lost their lives. And they can keep reviving. The Anbu ninjas resisted while searching for other solutions. This kind of rebirth can't continue indefinitely. It must consume a huge amount of power. Don't be discouraged. Victory is right before our eyes. You create an opening, and let me get close to Izumi. Worthy of being called the professor, Hiruzen immediately noticed the various hidden weaknesses of this domain. But because he had come in haste, with limited Anbu forces, he now had to step in himself. Facing several Jonin-level Uchiha combatants, coupled with their Sharingan's potent ability to copy jutsu and grant enhanced visual perception, even elite Jonin found themselves struggling. Sigh. I'm getting old after all. This kind of relentless, suicidal fighting style was even proving troublesome for the third Hokage. However, he firmly believed that the enemy couldn't sustain this power to continuously resurrect the dead indefinitely. The power sustaining them had to run out eventually. Unfortunately, the third Hokage didn't notice the exquisite badge on Izumi's chest, hidden behind her mother Hazuki, glowing and continuously replenishing her ocular power. The sixth wave. Damn it, we've wiped them out 6 times. Why haven't they disappeared yet? Could my analysis be wrong? Hiruzen thought to himself, his scalp tingling. He felt he couldn't wait any longer, lest he die here before exhausting the enemy. Just as he was about to summon his powerful partner, Inma, a shout came from the southeast. Lord Hokage! Lord Hokage, we know how to get out. Don't fight them head-on. Several Hidden Leaf Village ninjas ran over, leading 3 groups of anxious villagers. One of them, missing 2 front teeth, ran at the forefront, his speech slurred. What? You know something about this place? Hiruzen quickly disengaged from the fight and questioned the approaching crowd. That's right, Lord Hokage. As long as you give them enough money, you can leave the Gothly place. Matsumoto Kofu hurriedly shared the information he knew. There's such a thing? How much money do we need? After listening to their account, the third Hokage was overjoyed. Not fighting was indeed good, he preferred to resolve everything peacefully. He immediately reached into his pocket. Perfect? He had a wad of cash on him. It seems like it costs 10,000 ryo per person. What? Say that again? A little girl who saved us just now used 10,000 ryo to gain safe passage. Hearing this, the third Hokage quickly counted the money in his pocket. His face darkened. He was 5,000 ryo short. Seeing the Hokage staring at him, Matsumoto Kofu quickly patted his empty pockets. I have nothing left, Lord Hokage. I was captured earlier precisely because I didn't have enough money. Does anyone else have any ryo left? Let's pool our resources. Right, let's have the Anbu stop fighting first. Matsumoto Kofu hurriedly ran out, shouting, everyone from the Uchiha clan, stop fighting. We're here to pay the toll, we mean no harm. Sure enough, as soon as he said these words, the Uchihas gradually stopped. It actually worked. Quickly withdraw your killing intent, don't provoke them again. Seeing this, the exhausted Anbu ninjas also quickly stopped fighting and retreated. We just have to give them 10,000 ryo each to not be attacked? Wow, these bastard Uchihas, even in death they don't forget to rake in the dough. Crap, I only have 800 ryo. I only have 300 ryo, just enough for a few meals. Let's pool our money together and get Lord Hokage out first so he can find reinforcements and break this place. Then we'll all be safe. Okay, count mine in. I have 150 ryo. You're amazing, 150 ryo, you made it sound like 15,000 ryo. Stacks of ryo bills were gathered into the Hokage's hands. Hiruzen's hand trembled as he held the money. I'm the Hokage, I can't leave this place and leave you all alone here. Just choose one person to go out and seek help. With me here, we can at least hold on. Just give us a little more time to figure out this place, and we'd be able to break out of here without a problem. Matsumoto Kofu quickly shook his head. No, Lord Hokage. You are the pillar, of our Hidden Leaf Village. You must get out first. That's right, Lord Hokage, if you don't leave, neither will we. I really don't like hitting people to make them understand. Can someone stand up for me? Hiruzen's forehead was covered in black lines. But he put on an expression of reluctant acceptance. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Once I'm out, I'll immediately mobilize troops to break this cage and rescue everyone. Thank you, Lord Hokage. We will definitely hold on. Hiruzen, carrying the crowd-funded 10,000 ryo, walked towards the Uchihas. Behind him were more than a dozen ninjas, including Anbu, and dozens of Hidden Leaf villagers. The ninjas were all bruised and swollen. Hello, this is my toll fee. Hiruzen found it difficult to speak. He actually had to pay a toll on his own territory. What kind of logic was that? Sigh. The third Hokage took a deep breath, forcing himself to endure. He had endured all kinds of hardships over the years, and he absolutely couldn't lose his cool over such a small matter, even if there was only a 1% chance of things going wrong. Truly worthy of being a generation's hero. Sure enough, after receiving the money, the Uchi has ignored Hiruzen. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief and was about to leave to gather troops, a soft groan came from the rooftop ahead. Izumi stretched and woke up completely. Alas, Mother in this domain is indeed not a truly living person. Izumi had just told her so many secrets, but once the minute mark was up, her mother forgot all those things. Still, this was enough, truly enough. Only then did Izumi have time to look at the crowd below. The first thing she saw was the bruised and battered Hidden Leaf Village ninjas, and the third Hokage. What happened to everyone? Izumi couldn't help but ask. The Uchiha captain who had received the money quickly took out all the bills and leaped to Izumi's side. Lady Izumi. This is from Hidden Leaf Village. In appreciation of our Uchiha's contributions, they spontaneously raised these funds to improve our food and equipment. Despicable. Shameless. Seeing the Uchiha captain blatantly lying, the Hidden Leaf Village crowd was speechless, suffering in silence. Thank you everyone, Izumi said gratefully. Hidden Leaf Village is the place where I was born and raised. I didn't expect to receive such a warm farewell before I leave to eradicate the evils of the ninja world. Thank you again, I will come back. After saying that, Izumi deactivated the domain and stuck out her adorable tongue. Everything that had happened in the domain flashed through her mind like frames in a film. Afraid of being blamed by Natsuki, she quickly flapped her fiery wings and soared into the sky, disappearing over the horizon in the blink of an eye. PFFT. Having just paid the money, only for the other party to wake up and remove the domain, the pent-up frustration in Hiruzen's chest reached its peak. He suddenly choked in his own saliva and collapsed to the ground. Lord Hokage! Lord Hokage! The Anbu ninjas quickly surrounded him. No one is allowed to speak of what happened just now. Everyone present will receive 20,000 ryo as compensation, Hiruzen instructed weakly. As the Hokage, he was actually forced to pay a toll in his own village. If word got out, it would greatly damage his personal reputation. The next moment, thinking about the enormous cost of post-disaster reconstruction, he felt a pang of heartache, his head lolled to the side, and he fainted completely. I shouldn't have rushed out of the Hokage Tower after hearing that loud noise. I didn't gain anything noteworthy, but I ended up with a whole lot of trouble. As the domain dissipated, the clamor of the outside world gradually filtered in. A dense crowd and fully armed Hidden Leaf Village ninja forces came into view. Chapter 63, reporting to Lord Hokage, we apprehended another 10 people shouting nonsense atop the Hokage Rock today. An Anbu member reported the situation within the Hokage Tower. Lock them up. Don't release them for at least a year or two. Hiruzen roared. Declare the area surrounding the Hokage Rock a restricted zone. Arrest anyone who approaches without authorization. Hiruzen massaged his temples. 3 months had passed since the Izumi Uchiha incident. During this time, the flow of people coming and going in Hidden Leaf Village had increased, along with the number of envoy delegations from other villages. Most annoyingly, the aggressive Hidden Clouds Village delegation had returned. Their purpose this time was clear to the naked eye, to assess Hidden Leaf Village's remaining strength after the Uchiha Rebellion and investigate the string of mysterious incidents plaguing the village. The most recent incident involved Izumi Uchiha publicly standing on the Hokage Rock, acting foolishly in front of the villagers, and spouting Chunabiu nonsense. As a result, she gained immense power, transforming into a crimson-haired angel before everyone's eyes. She instantly became incredibly famous. Ordinary people even believed it was a blessing from past Hokages. Consequently, people frequently ran to the Hokage Rock, yelling and screaming, hoping to inherit special powers. This severely tarnished Hidden Leaf Village's image and humiliated the third Hokage in front of the foreign envoys. Have you located Izumi Uchiha? Hiruzen stopped massaging his temples, resting his head in his hands. The memory of the events 3 months prior brought him another wave of headaches. Izumi's whereabouts are erratic, the Anbu replied. However, she recently proclaimed herself a member of some congregation and, under the title Crusader of the Crimson Flames, has been active throughout the ninja world, wiping out numerous bandits and thieves. Moreover, she's using the rewards from these missions to place a bounty on Itachi Uchiha's head. Her personal vendetta has driven Itachi's bounty to 30 million ryo, and the amount continues to climb. Kakazu, the S-rank missing ninja and bounty hunter from Hidden Waterfall Village, has publicly expressed interest in this crusader who's disrupting his lucrative bounty hunting business by hogging all the high-paying missions. He has even offered a paltry 10,000 ryo for information on her location. The Anbu agent methodically reported all gathered intelligence. Where's that golden pineapple, Hero King and Fugaku's group? Hiruzen questioned. The Hero King, Gilgamesh, escaped our ambush again last week. He and Fugaku Uchiha, along with the remaining rebels, have occupied a city in the Land of Hot Water. The Land of Hot Water's envoy delegation has also arrived in Hidden Leaf Village, likely seeking our assistance. Damn it. The problems keep piling up, Hiruzen grumbled. It feels like ever since the plan involving the Uchiha clan was initiated, the number of troublesome individuals has only increased. The usually shrewd Hiruzen was beginning to feel overwhelmed. Report. Darui, head of the Hidden Clouds Village delegation, requests an audience. A voice announced from outside. Hiruzen immediately dismissed his subordinates and rose to greet the Hidden Clouds Village ninja. While the third Hokage met with Darui, another group from the Hidden Clouds Village delegation strolled through the streets near the Ninja Academy. Are you sure the Ninja Academy is where most of these strange occurrences in Hidden Leaf Village happen? Sammy, a blonde, buxom Cloud Jonin, asked a street vendor while pretending to examine the trinkets on display. The vendor was clearly one of Cloud's spies planted in Hidden Leaf Village. Absolutely. The vendor confirmed. Hidden Leaf Village has experienced a series of bizarre events in recent years. First, our higher-ups had excellent foresight. Hinata Hyuga, whom we once attempted to kidnap, suddenly awakened an even greater Dujutsu than the Byakugan. She nearly split Hidden Leaf Village in half with it. Then she was rescued by Ultraman Zeta. Believe me, Lady Sammy, there really is an Ultraman in Hidden Leaf Village. It's unbelievable, but that Akimaki kid used a transformation device Ultraman threw out to become Ultraman himself. I even managed to get one. Look here. The vendor carefully retrieved a box from under the table, unlocked 6 padlocks, and reverently produced a plastic transformation device. This thing? Are you serious? Samyu twitched her lips, wondering if the spy's mind had gone mushy from staying in Hidden Leaf Village too long. She applied a little pressure, and crack, a fissure appeared on the transformation device. HSSS. The vendor gasped, clutching his chest as if struck. A look of pure agony contorted his face. On my ever-loving mother. Lady Sammy, please be careful. Any more pressure and it'll break. He pleaded. This is a device that can transform someone into Ultraman. You have no idea how strong Ultraman is. He's a giant of light, taller than a house. He can demolish an entire building with a single slap. If I could transform into Ultraman, I'd immediately return home and become a daimyo. After all these years of undercover work, I've earned enough merit, all I lack is strength. Sammy rolled her eyes and tossed the device back. You? With your intelligence? You'll be lucky if you could stick like this forever. She sighed. Tell me about the other strange happenings. Give me all the details, I already know the general gist from the reports in Hidden Clouds Village. The vendor frantically caught the device, meticulously wiped it clean, and then returned it to his treasure chest, carefully re-engaging all 6 locks. Without saying a word, his actions clearly conveyed his displeasure with Samui. He couldn't help it. She held a higher rank and possessed greater strength. He could only hope she wouldn't make his life more difficult. 3 years of undercover work in Hidden Leaf Village, then another 3. He longed to return home. Composing himself, the vendor continued, besides the incidents I mentioned, the most mysterious events occur at the Ninja Academy. For instance, the hero King Gilgamesh, who suddenly appeared from the academy, conquered a city in the Land of Hot Water last week. Now he's a renowned powerhouse throughout the ninja world. Lately, some eerie ghost stories have been circulating within the Ninja Academy. Like the self-cleaning broom that sweeps the floors without anyone operating it. Or the magic circle behind the teaching building that occasionally glows, even though it's just drawn with ordinary chalk. The scariest one is about the humanoid puppets in the equipment room that people have seen moving around on their own. One night, they were even seen racing on the training grounds. And then there's the elusive blue-eyed ghost. They say she's a beautiful woman who lures unsuspecting young boys. Wherever she appears, boys end up crashing into pillars or breaking their legs. The more the vendor spoke, the brighter Samui's eyes became. Lady Samui, you're not thinking of going to the academy, are you? The vendor stammered, alarmed by the eager glint in her eyes. Don't be crazy. It's best to investigate during the day. No one dares go near there at night. As expected, these powerful Jonin were all a handful. No, quite the opposite, Samui declared. There must be some secret hidden within the academy if they're going to such lengths to create these distractions. The most dangerous place is the safest. For an undercover agent, you lack even the basic awareness. I'm extending your stay in Hidden Leaf Village by another 3 years. With that, Samui snatched a trinket and left the stall. Staying any longer would arouse suspicion. She had made up her mind, tonight, she would infiltrate the Ninja Academy. My lady, no. The vendor wailed, His dreams of returning home shattered. He only realized he had attracted the attention of those around him when their gazes fell upon him. He froze, remembering his undercover identity. Without missing beat, he cried out, "That blonde-haired lady!" She ran off without paying. Chapter 64, It was Saturday, and classes at the Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Academy ended at noon. By afternoon, the entire school was deserted. Inside one of the academy buildings, a room previously used for storage had just been cleared out. From today onwards, our Dimensional Ends congregation will have its own headquarters, Natsuki announced from a makeshift podium. Thunderous applause erupted immediately after he finished speaking. Seated below the podium were several familiar young faces: Hinata, Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, Sasuke, and Naruto. So cool. How did you manage to get permission from the school for this place, Natsuki? Choji asked, his eyes sparkling. Now we have a place to skip class, sleep in, and nap. Ahem, Natsuki coughed, adopting a serious expression. Well, you see, constantly maintaining dimensional stability and safeguarding the peace of the academy is tiring work. We naturally require a secure place to recuperate. Oh. The children nodded in unison, completely convinced. In reality, Iruko had initially refused Natsuki's request. Such an obviously unreliable-sounding club couldn't possibly be safeguarding any kind of peace, let alone the dimensional kind. However, when Natsuki yelled, "Super Invincible Thunderbolt," Iruka immediately slammed his hand on the table and agreed. At the very least, they could help maintain peace within the academy and prevent the children from fighting. From now on, this will be one of our bases. Today, we must make sure it's thoroughly cleaned, Natsuki declared. But before that, let's welcome two new members to the congregation, Sasuke and Naruto. Just then, as if sensing something, Natsuki's eyes glowed with a faint red light. A slight smile crept onto his lips. Ceiling barrier, activate. Instantly, an invisible energy field enveloped the entire academy. Meanwhile, Lady Sammy, are you sure we should investigate the academy now? A cloud ninja asked the blonde girl leading their small group. They were all members of the Hidden Clouds Village envoy visiting Hidden Leaf Village. Of course. Dusk is when security is most lax. Many guard posts changed shifts at this time. Sammy replied. Besides, we're here to investigate the academy's ghost stories and to see if we can obtain some mystical power. If nothing happens, wouldn't this trip be a waste? There was an undeniable glint of excitement in her eyes. She wasn't one to sit still. Besides, if they were discovered by Hidden Leaf Village Ninja, they could easily make up an excuse. In Hidden Leaf Village's current state, would they dare start a war? A few years ago, they had endured the Hidden Clouds Village's blatant provocation and even sacrificed a high-ranking Hyuga member for peace. Alright, the three remaining team members nodded. Since their captain had made the decision, they couldn't object. The four of them stealthily bypassed the nearby Hidden Leaf Village Ninja and scaled the walls surrounding the academy. As soon as they landed, they headed towards the most prominent building, the main teaching building. However, halfway there, a thick fog began to roll in throughout the academy. What's going on? How can fog form in this weather? Before entering, they had clearly seen a clear sky and a beautiful sunset. How could fog appear so suddenly once they were inside the school grounds? Be careful, this isn't normal fog, a tall, thin team member said calmly. It's likely the academy's guards or teachers have discovered us. This fog is probably caused by a ninjutsu. Makes sense. Everyone, be on guard. Samuel nodded. The four cautiously proceeded towards the teaching building but encountered nothing along the way. TCH, what was that? I didn't sense any killing intent, and nothing happened. Maybe it really was just the weird weather, grumbled the largest member of the group, a hulking man with bulging muscles. Besides, what danger could a bunch of brats and some Chunin teachers who've barely seen battle pose? We've already bypassed the guards outside, he continued. There's no need to be so cautious here. We should hurry up and check this place out. See if we can find that glowing magic circle or whatever the stories say. He believed in direct action and overwhelming force. No matter the enemy, his philosophy was to just smash through them. Oatori has a point, Samu agreed. There are two teaching buildings, at north and south. Let's split into two teams and investigate both buildings simultaneously. Use a bird call as a signal if you encounter anything. She also didn't believe there was any real danger here. While Hidden Leaf Village had many ghost stories, few resulted in actual harm. And they were ninja, not ignorant villagers. I'll go with Lady Sammy, a small, bespectacled girl in the group quickly said. Then Oatori and Karasu will investigate the north building, Sammy decided, referring to the large man and the thin one. Hi. The team split up. Oatori and Karasu headed north, disappearing into the thickening fog. Now, The fog was so dense that the last rays of the setting sun couldn't penetrate it. The bespectacled girl, Hidden Clouds Village Usagi, tugged on Samu's sleeve, feeling uneasy. "Samu sis, I think we should be more careful." "Relax, Usagi," Samu said confidently. "I'll lead the way, you just follow close behind." Samu led the way, striding confidently forward. Usagi, glancing back at the path slowly being swallowed by the fog, shivered and hurried to keep up. They reached the second floor of the teaching building. A quiet corridor stretched before them, each classroom door firmly shut. After all, classes had ended at noon, leaving the building empty. They opened 2 classrooms in a row. The chairs were neatly arranged inside. Everything seemed perfectly normal. "See? Nothing's wrong. It's just an ordinary school. What's there to be afraid of?" Samu turned back to reassure Usagi with a smile. "I was hoping something would be wrong. Otherwise, what's the point of coming here?" Before she could finish her sentence, a loud crash echoed from the next room. Usagi jumped, her heart leaping into her throat, living up to the meaning of her name, Hidden Clouds Village Usagi Cloud Rabbit. As a sensory ninja, she wasn't strong in combat but possessed heightened senses and, unfortunately, a rather timid nature. Samu stomped on the ground and, with a burst of speed, flashed into the next classroom. She found a shattered window and a broom lying on the floor. "TCH, who's so inconsiderate?" Samu exclaimed, her Kumo upbringing, where resources were scarce, making her immediately indignant. Throwing a broom around like that. Don't they know that repairing public property costs money? Then, remembering that this was the wealthy Hidden Leaf village, she felt indignant that they hadn't broken a few more windows. The broom flew in from the north, Usagi observed, looking at the broken window. Could Owatori and Karase be in danger? No way, Samu dismissed the idea. If they were in danger, they would have used the signal. They wouldn't just throw a broom. Come on, this is boring. There are 7 floors in this building, and we're only on the 2nd. Let's pick up the pace. For classrooms that seem normal, we'll just glance inside as we pass. Samu casually examined the broom and the area around the window. Finding nothing amiss, she continued down the hallway with Usagi in tow. They quickly traversed the rest of the corridor without any further incidents. Reaching the staircase, they were about to head up to the 3rd floor when something familiar caught Samu's eye. Lying on the floor near the stairs was another broom. "What the?" Samu frowned. "Usagi, did you bring this thing with us?" No. I've been right behind you the entire time," Usagi insisted, shaking her head vehemently. Then, recalling one of the Academy's ghost stories, she added, "Could it be that self-cleaning broom that moves on its own?" She gulped, nervously glancing around. "Nonsense," Samu scoffed. "This is the ninja world. Someone's definitely playing a prank with this broom. When I catch them, I'll turn their face into a pig's. But if there really is some kind of mysterious power, even better. I'll claim it for myself." Samu strode forward and examined the broom. She even checked for invisible strings but found nothing out of the ordinary. "I just used my sensory jutsu," Hidden Clouds Village Usagi said, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's no one else nearby. Shouldn't we just leave?" "Fine, let's go." This time, without further discussion, they hurried up the stairs. They climbed quickly, ascending countless steps and turning dozens of corners without realizing how far they had traveled. "This isn't right," Samu said, finally noticing the discrepancy. "There's no way the stairs should be this long. It didn't take nearly this long to get from the 1st floor to the 2nd. We should have climbed a dozen floors by now." Just as this thought crossed their minds, they saw 2 small children, each carrying a bucket, sitting on the handrail and effortlessly gliding upwards towards the 3rd floor. The children gave them a curious look as they passed. Yes, they were sitting on the stationary concrete handrail. Then, with a turn, they vanished from sight. "Ha, Sasuke, did you see that? Those 2 idiots are sitting on the handrail staring at their feet. Hilarious." "Be quiet, Naruto, you idiot." Another voice hissed. "They might be new teachers. We'll be in trouble if they hear us." Their laughter echoed down from above. Samu's face flushed with anger. Those 2 brats were clearly gliding on the railing, and they dared call them idiots for trying? Ignoring Usagi, she charged up the stairs, to catch the little pipsqueak who dared to mock them. However, after rounding a corner, she found Usagi, who should have been behind her, now standing in front of her. "It seems you guys really don't want the bonus chapters." Chapter 65, Little Usagi? "What's going on? Why are you in front of me?" Samu's heart lurched, a sense of foreboding washing over her. "Lady Samu, I hadn't even moved yet. I was just standing here, and then you came up from behind here," the bespectacled girl said with a mournful face. "Humphrey. It seems we've been tricked. Such a powerful genjutsu, to make us unaware of being in the Genjutsu for this long. Sammy's nimble hands quickly formed seals, release. A moment of silence passed. The surrounding environment hadn't changed in the slightest. Is it broken? No. I don't know. I still can't sense any others, not even the two kids we saw earlier. I can't sense their location. The bespectacled girl closed her eyes, beads of sweat forming visibly on her forehead. Then you stay here. We'll know if I run up further. With that, Sammy started climbing the stairs again. Yet, the next moment, she appeared behind the bespectacled girl once more. As expected, it's not working. We haven't escaped the Genjutsu, Sammy said, slightly breathless. How about we do what those two kids did and climb up the handrail? I have a feeling that those two kids might be the clue to getting out of here. We've actually been sitting on the handrail the whole time, not really moving. Meaning, what we're seeing is different from reality. Our vision and perception are under an illusion. It's just that with our methods, we can't break this kind of Genjutsu. How about we try a different approach that results in the same outcome as those kids did? Usagi suggested, wiping the sweat from her brow. Impossible. I'd rather die than do that. Didn't you hear how they mocked us before? Such an unsightly, vulgar, stupid method, I won't use it. You can do it if you want, Samu scoffed, turning her head away. Then I'll try. If it works, I'll call for you. The bespectacled girl, small in stature, didn't care about looking silly. The key was escaping this endless staircase. She walked over to the handrail and, with a hop, jumped up. Then, clamping her legs around the handrail, she began to ride the handrail upwards. She was truly, utterly comical. Like a rabbit hopping. Samu wanted to laugh but held back, afraid to dampen her partner's enthusiasm. She deliberately looked away, yet couldn't help but steal glances from the corner of her eye. It seemed to be working. In a short while, the bespectacled girl climbed up to the third floor along the handrail and disappeared from sight. The next moment, Usagi's voice came from above, Lady Samu, this method really works. I've reached the third floor, come up quickly. Now, Samu was dumbfounded. It actually worked? Thinking about that awkward posture, would she really have to climb up like that too? I don't believe it. I'll run up myself. If I'm fast enough, can this damned staircase still trap me? With that, Samu used the body flicker jutsu, swiftly ascending the stairs. Soon, the endless cycle repeated once again. Exhausted and out of breath, she still couldn't escape the staircase. Damn it, it seems we can only use this stupid method. Good thing no one's around to see me. Samu looked around, confirming that no one was peeking. Her face flushed as she jumped onto the handrail, also inching her way up to the third floor. Unbeknownst to them, 3 pairs of eyes were observing them like lab rats. The strange occurrences on the staircase were all due to Natsuki activating his newly acquired sealing domain. He could modify the rules within the domain as long as they weren't too outrageous. Unlike Izumi's domain, where the Order of Knights was comprised of Uchiha clan members, Natsuki's Order of Knights consisted of various props and teachers from the Ninja Academy. Of course, just like in Izumi's domain, where the true fighting force was the Uchiha captains, the true power within Natsuki's Order of Knights resided in the Academy teachers. They would soon make their presence known before these Hidden Clouds village ninjas. Huff. Huff. Sammy's breath came in ragged gasps. The short distance from the second to the third floor had left her fair face flushed. Half from exhaustion, half from embarrassment. Little Usagi, this is our secret. You can't tell anyone, understand? Otherwise. Arriving on the third floor, Samu didn't pay attention to anything else, first threatening the bespectacled girl before her. She was still a young woman. If this embarrassing and humiliating behavior were to be exposed, the thought alone drove her mad. Lady Samu, I won't tell anyone. Usagi nodded her head vigorously. Leaving the narrow, dark space and entering a more open and bright area, they both felt a sense of relief. Receiving Hidden Clouds Village Usagi's assurance, Samu regained her composure as the oldest present. She walked down the third floor corridor, preparing to catch those 2 little pipsqueaks and thank them properly. Yes, to genuinely thank them. Of course, it would be natural to give mischievous students a lesson as well. At this time, the fog in the academy grew thicker, visibility decreasing. As the 2 walked, they saw a row of brooms leaning against the wall in the corridor ahead, spaced evenly like soldiers in formation. Why are we encountering these things again? Samu's heart skipped a beat. This academy was too strange. The more commonplace the object, the more terrifying it seemed. She didn't want to be pulled into another endless loop like before. Suddenly, her clothes tightened. Samu looked back. Hidden Clouds Village Usagi was tugging at the corner of her clothes, her face on the verge of tears. Lady Samu, B. Behind. There's one behind us too, it's following us. Samuel focused her gaze and, sure enough, the broom they had encountered on the second floor had followed them to the third. You fucking wannabe ghost, get lost. Cloud style, flying blade. Several blades of light slashed fiercely behind her, dispersing a large swathe of fog. The broom lying on the ground was cut into several pieces. Humphrey. Let's go, ignore these things. These are just common cleaning tools in the academy. Sammy snorted, not bothering to avoid them, pulling Usagi past the line of soldiers. The fog was dense, and water droplets covered the windows of the classrooms lining the corridor. It was impossible to see inside. They could only open each door and check. Where did those two brats who came up before us run off to? Sammy frowned. I don't know. I didn't see anyone else after coming up to the third floor. They were carrying small buckets, they should be going up to clean. Maybe they're in one of the classrooms here, or maybe they went to a higher floor. Usagi stuck close to Sammy, occasionally glancing behind her. With her sharp senses, she felt as if something unknown was following them. Lady Sammy, let's leave this place. This academy is too terrifying. Is this really still the Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Academy? I keep feeling like something is following us, Usagi said, her voice trembling. As a sensory ninja, she wasn't afraid of snakes or insects, but she was terrified of these inexplicable, undetectable things. TCH, what's so scary? Can ordinary cleaning tools kill us? It's not that this school is too weird, it's that it's too ordinary. To embolden Usagi, Sammy turned around and looked intently behind them. Sweeping aside the fog, they saw a dense mass of brooms standing upright, hopping towards them in a frantic rush. There were even more than they had seen in the first half of the corridor. The fuck? Even the relatively calm and courageous Sammy was startled. But in the next moment, her battle instincts kicked in, and she quickly drew the ninja sword from her waist. Cloud style. Even more fierce blades of light flashed, wood splintered, and straw flew. The densely packed brooms instantly shattered, lying in pieces all over the floor. Humphrey. Done. I'll cut down as many as they come. Sammy sheathed her sword, turned around, and clapped her hands, feeling a sense of accomplishment at having eliminated the source of her fear. Lady Sammy, can you please stop saying things that attract aggro? Usagi cried. What's wrong? Didn't I take care of them? Sammy froze. A second later, the rustling sound behind him grew louder and louder. She looked back. Good heavens. The brooms, which had been chopped into pieces, were reassembling themselves. They had recovered. The next moment, they charged forward again, hopping collectively. What the hell are these things? Blades of light flashed, leaving behind another scene of devastation. But moments later, they were restored. After several repetitions, Sammy's hand holding the sword began to tremble. Damn it. They had just escaped one endless loop, only to fall into another. These brooms weren't particularly harmful, but they were incredibly insulting. They just wouldn't stop. If this went on, they would run out of stamina. Run. Without another word, Sammy grabbed Usagi and ran towards the corridor on the other side. This infinitely looping phenomenon, like the staircase before, must have a key, a way to break the cycle and prevent them from restoring themselves. But they needed to create some distance, to buy themselves time to figure it out. The two sprinted, their footsteps echoing clearly in the quiet school corridor, followed by the dense rustling sound behind them. Just then, a faint light flickered in a classroom ahead in the mist, and they could vaguely make out figures inside. Now, let's look at this pressure point, a teacher's voice came, giving a lesson. Someone. Overjoyed, the two felt like they had found an oasis in the desert. Finding other humans in this eerie, lifeless academy, whether friend or foe, was comforting news. Neither of them, especially Sammy, noticed how their mindset of secretly investigating the academy had subtly shifted in this pervasive atmosphere. They were subconsciously ignoring many things. They quickly darted into the classroom and slammed the door shut. The rustling sound outside rushed past and gradually faded away. Phew. Leaning against the door, they exhaled heavily, finally escaping those troublesome things. Who are you? New teachers. Hearing this, the two looked up. Ahead, the dim light only illuminated the podium. The teacher who was lecturing looked at them with confusion. They're actually real people, the two exchanged excited glances. In the next moment, they remembered their purpose. They were members of the Hidden Clouds Village Envoy, not new teachers. Fortunately, they weren't wearing their Hidden Clouds Village headbands. But since this teacher didn't recognize them, perhaps they could. At this point, they had to admire Hidden Leaf Village. It was truly impressive, the teachers and students working overtime studying until this late, even in such a terrifying school. No wonder Hidden Leaf Village produces so many geniuses and holds the title of the #1 ninja village so firmly. Fear-based education was their primary teaching method. And now, I, the great Samui, have finally uncovered their secret. Yes, we are the new. Samui straightened her clothes and took 2 steps forward, approaching the podium. Wonderful. I was dying to take a break. The teacher happily interrupted Samui, stepping down from the podium. Could you watch the students and teach the class for me? I need to use the restroom, I'll be back soon. Oh right, my name is Ka. These students are quite the troublemakers. Make sure they don't leave the classroom, alright? With that, the 5-foot-tall Ka pushed past them, opened a door, and disappeared into the fog outside. It's dangerous out there. Usagi called out kindly. Unfortunately, he had already vanished into the thick fog. Sigh, Hidden Leaf Village might have just lost a good teacher. And it wasn't their fault. Fearful that the indestructible broom soldiers would return, Usagi quickly closed the classroom door. They faced the classroom filled with shadowy figures. To ease the awkwardness and buy some time to figure out how to break the cycle, they would just have to improvise and make something up. And maybe ask these students about the situation in the school. The 2 stepped onto the podium. On the podium sat a wooden mannequin covered in acupuncture point markings. Was this to teach the students how to identify pressure points? Alright students, let's. Samui looked up. Her attention had been on the door and the teacher earlier. Also, due to the dim lighting, only a small area above the podium was lit, leaving the rest of the room shrouded in darkness. As she spoke, she finally noticed that there were no students behind the desks. They were all wooden puppets sitting upright. Let's. Nani? What the? That teacher was messing with us. Samui slammed her hand on the podium, furious. She immediately turned to leave the podium, intending to catch the bastard teacher who had tricked them. Suddenly, all the wooden puppets in the classroom stood up. Teacher, class isn't over yet. The unified voice froze Samui in her tracks. Chapter 66. Meanwhile, Oatori and Karasu, who had split up with Samui and the Glasses girl to explore the north building, also encountered the tailing brooms. But unlike the 2 girls who took a more gentle, evasive approach, the short-tempered, nearly 2-meter-tall, muscular man codenamed Oatori directly used jutsu to reduce the tailing broom soldiers to ashes. Humphrey. Don't try to test us with these petty tricks anymore. It's useless. If you have the guts, come out and let's have a proper fight. Oatori roared, standing in the corridor on the 3rd floor of the north building. His voice boomed like thunder, even causing the surrounding fog to churn. His body surged with power, and faint electrical sparks crackled around him. Although it couldn't compare to the 4th Raikage's lightning-style chakra mode, it still possessed considerable defensive and explosive power. His nearly 2-meter-tall, robust physique stood like a wall, providing a strong sense of security. Karasu, who usually disliked standing next to Oatori because it made his own slender frame seem even more like a bamboo pole, was grateful to have Oatori by his side in this suddenly fog-filled, dangerous school. Sure enough, after Oatori's roar, the troublemaker appeared. Thump. 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 Heavy footsteps echoed from the end of the corridor, as if a giant was charging towards them. Snort. Huff. Like an enraged bull, rough breathing dispersed the fog to both sides. Oatori and Karasu finally saw the newcomer's appearance. A burly man, over 2 meters tall, nearly 3 meters, with a face full of flesh, came into view. His explosive muscles were terrifyingly layered, and a single arm was thicker than Karasu's entire body. Gulp. Karasu's eyes widened, and he swallowed hard. What kind of monster was this? Hidden Cloud's village was known for their muscular men, like the 4th Raikage, Killer Bee, and even Oatori. But compared to this guy, they looked like children. Roar. Intruders. Die. The burly man stomped the ground and charged towards the 2 like a mountain. Come on. Oatori was not surprised but thrilled. Intense lightning crackled around his body as he charged towards the burly man. Although he wasn't as large as his opponent, Oatori was extremely confident in his body, enhanced by the lightning-style chakra mode. The 2 strong and ferocious figures collided fiercely in the corridor. Bam. Bam bam. Bam bam bam. A series of scalp-numbing blows exploded before Karasu. The 2 giants exchanged blows, their fists meeting flesh, dispersing the surrounding fog completely. Exhilarating, so exhilarating. Oatori was overjoyed. He didn't expect Hidden Leaf Village to have someone with such terrifying physical strength. He specialized in the Raikage's unique lightning-style chakra mode, which greatly enhanced cell activity, granting him physical defense and speed far surpassing ordinary people. But he found that the opponent's physical strength was no less than his own. Even. Ijuka. The nearly 3-meter-tall giant suddenly roared in rage. His right fist seemed to create a sonic boom, carrying intense wind pressure as it struck Oatori. Boom. Rumble. Oatori dodged to the side, But the spot where he had been standing was completely shattered and collapsed. The two brawny figures fell from the third floor together. Karasu's jaw dropped as he watched the two humanoid beasts demolish a section of the third floor corridor. He was about to jump down to help Oatori when heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor behind him. He turned abruptly. Another burly giant appeared before him. What? There's another one? Karasu didn't have time to think. His hands blurred as he rapidly formed hand seals, lightning style, ground walk. Blue arcs of electricity surged along the ground towards the giant. In the blink of an eye, the giant's body was flashing with electricity and even emitting the smell of burnt meat. Ha! This guy's body is strong, but he can't withstand jutsu damage. Karasu felt overjoyed at having inadvertently discovered the giant's weakness. He had originally only intended to use ground walk to immobilize the opponent. He didn't expect to seemingly electrocute him in one go. Ijuka. Just as Karasu thought it was over, the burly giant roared. Whoosh! His snorting breaths were as powerful and prolonged as a bull's. Thump! The giant took another large stride and charged towards Karasu. What? He's not dead? Not even immobilized? Then have another one. Let's see how many you can take. Lightning style, ground walk. This time, several ground walk jutsus, which were primarily used to immobilize targets on the ground, along with shuriken from his pack, were thrown out. The burly giant was completely battered. But he only slowed down for a moment before resolutely charging forward again. Damn, this is a monster. This time, Karasu had no choice but to jump over the collapsed section of the corridor and flee to the fourth floor. Covered in sweat, he reached the fourth floor. He saw a classroom with its door half open. In the dim light, he could faintly hear a teacher lecturing, "Everyone, please turn to page 200 of the Will of Fire." Karasu peeked through the crack in the door. Sure enough, a male teacher was standing at the podium, holding a thick book and lecturing. What the hell, someone's still having class in this school. Truly touching, such dedicated teachers and students. Even with the chaos outside, their enthusiasm for learning remains unaffected. Karasu couldn't help but complain. Just as he was about to leave this obviously abnormal classroom, heavy footsteps came from ahead. How did he get in front of me? Karasu frowned. Before he could retreat, heavy footsteps also echoed from the stairwell behind him. Why are there so many? Could Oatori have been defeated already? The heavy breaths grew closer and closer, and the entire corridor seemed to shake slightly under their weight. Damn it. Transformation jutsu. He had no choice. He used the transformation jutsu to transform into an academy student and hid in this classroom. He planned to wait for the chaos to erupt, and then escape in the confusion with the crowd. As for the teachers and students here, sorry, you're on your own. Since there are so many bizarre things in the academy and you're not afraid, you must have a way to deal with these monsters, right? Karasu slipped into the classroom and immediately closed the door. Two heavy presences stopped outside the classroom, just a door away. Karasu held the door, not daring to breathe. After a while, the two burly giants outside left with earth-shaking steps. Phew. He let out a soft sigh of relief and turned around. A pair of huge eyes were right in front of him. Ah! He let out half a scream before realizing that this was the teacher who had been lecturing just now. Which class are you from? Don't you know you can't run around during class? The nearly 1.9-meter tall teacher with a bandage on his nose asked sternly. Karasu, transformed into a student, was about to randomly name a class, when the teacher grabbed his arm, pulled him onto the podium, and shoved him under it. Hide and don't make a sound. Knock, knock, knock. As soon as the teacher finished speaking, there was a violent knock on the door. The force was so great that the entire classroom trembled, and dust fell from the top of the door. It felt like the door would be broken down at any moment. Scram. Don't disturb my class. The male teacher opened the door and angrily rebuked the burly giant knocking. It turned out that the giant who had just left was attracted back by Karasu's scream. The burly giant didn't speak much, mostly just shouting Ijeka. After roaring twice, he left reluctantly. Karasu shivered under the podium. It seemed that the teachers in this school had a very high status. Even such ferocious monsters were afraid of him. After a while, the classroom door closed again, and the teacher returned to the podium and pulled Karasu out. My name is Ayurika, and I'm the teacher of Class 06. No matter which class you're from, you're in my class now. Otherwise, those guards will take you to the faculty office. Teacher Ayurika patted the dust off Karasu's clothes. Teacher, what are those monsters? Karasu felt a bit touched. Monsters. Ayurika looked at Karasu questioningly. Those are just the school security, who focus primarily on physical training. Alright, find a seat. With that, Teacher Ayurika handed Karasu a thick book. Today, Everyone will memorize the content from pages 200 to 300 of The Will of Fire, Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Chronicles. No one is allowed to leave the classroom until you've memorized it. Karasa took the thick Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Chronicles, walked down from the podium, thinking he'd just blend in for a while and then make a run for it. But when he looked around, there weren't any students. Instead, rows and rows of wooden training dummies were uniformly flipping through The Will of Fire, Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Chronicles. Ah! A piercing scream pierced the air. Chapter 67, Huff, Puff. Huff, Puff. On the South Teaching Building. Samyu and the bespectacled girl ran for their lives. Teacher, is class over now? We haven't learned pressure point strikes yet. Teacher, my arm fell off, what should I do? Can you heal me? I don't know where my body went, teacher, can you help me find it? It would be best if you could put my head back on. Behind them, a large group of terrifying, talking wooden mannequins chased the two. Get away, get away. I'm not your teacher. What in the world are these things? Usagi, have you found the puppeteer controlling these things? Samyu asked breathlessly while slashing at the approaching mannequins. No, I don't see any chakra strings connected to them. I suspect this is really one of this academy's oddities. Even Lady Chio, the most famous puppeteer in Hidden Sand Village, needs chakra strings to control these kinds of puppets. The bespectacled girl, pale-faced, kept glancing nervously at her surroundings. The wooden mannequins were increasing in number. Some went into equipment rooms and dragged out even older, broken mannequins that couldn't even move. Could this be the reason Teacher Ka said they absolutely shouldn't leave the classroom? Looking at these mannequins now, they were indeed much scarier than they were in the classroom. Perhaps back in the classroom, a few casual bluffs could have calmed these clearly low-intelligence puppets down. But what normal person would lecture a bunch of puppets? I'm going crazy, Sammy right about pulled out her hair. Forget it, there's no point thinking about that now, escaping is more important. Fire style, fireball jutsu. An ordinary fireball jutsu erupted from the bespectacled girl's puffed cheeks, instantly blasting the group of mannequins chasing them down the hallway from the third floor. A clear area was created. But it was immediately filled by the densely packed wooden mannequins behind them. Sigh, if only I could fly. Then I could fly out of this terrifying academy with Lady Sammy. Just as she was thinking this, a figure flew up from outside the third floor corridor. It was a child wearing a night patch, faintly visible in the swirling mist outside the building, slowly floating towards the fourth floor. Teacher Sammy. I saw a ghost. The bespectacled girl's teeth chattered, her whole body trembling, even calling Samyu teacher instead of lady. She tugged on Samyu's clothes, hiding in the hallway. By the time Samyu turned to look, there was only swirling mist, not a single person in sight. But thinking about this strange school and all the bizarre oddities. Even if you pointed at the sky and said there was an angel, Samyu would believe it a little. Let's go, hurry up, let's meet up with Oatori and the others and get out of this hellhole. Samyu gritted out. Her right hand spun her sword, leaving trails in the air. Cloud style. Another wave of puppets was knocked down. You newcomers, you idiots, why did you let my students out? Can't you even teach them a simple pressure point strike? I'm so angry right now. At this moment, a figure appeared from the corridor on the other side. It was Teacher Ka, who had used the bathroom as an excuse to leave them in the classroom. If you can't even teach simple children as teachers, then let me, Teacher Ka, teach you a lesson. Ka, only 1.5 meters tall with a small band-aid on his nose, glared furiously. Veins bulged on his forehead. His eyes instantly turned completely white, without a trace of pupils, whiter than the Byakugan, like a terrifying demon from hell. Gentle fist, 8 trigrams 64 palms. He stomped on the ground, instantly crossing several meters, shooting towards the bespectacled girl who was closest to him. Fire style, grr. Only managing to form half a hand seal, the bespectacled girl's chakra flow was abruptly cut off by a palm strike. Her jutsu was instantly interrupted. First palm. Second palm. Ka's imposing shouts echoed continuously. 2 palms sent the bespectacled girl flying into the air. Just as he was about to continue with the full 64 palms, Sammy, who had been holding back the wooden mannequins, finally returned with her sword to assist. Stop! With a furious roar, Sammy charged. Ka hastily retracted his palms to avoid the sword light, a slight smirk appearing on his lips. His arms suddenly straightened, palms facing outwards. 8 trigrams palms, revolving heaven. Boom! In the narrow corridor, the sudden, terrifying cyclone sent Samyu flying, blasting her out from the third floor. She vanished into the vast sea of mist. In the next moment, Ka glanced at the bespectacled girl, who seemed to pose little threat and had lost her fighting ability. He jumped from the third floor as well, chasing after Sammy. Lady Sammy. The bespectacled girl worriedly propped herself up with her numb body and walked to the railing, looking out at the vast sea of mist. Her meridians were blocked, her chakra unable to flow freely. The teachers in this school were terrifying too. Teacher. Teacher, my arm hurts, can you help me look at it? The surrounding wooden mannequins closed in again. The bespectacled girl's expression stiffened. As if possessed. She turned around mechanically like a wooden doll. A one-armed wooden mannequin walked at the front, about to approach her. Wait, can you actually feel pain? Answer the teacher properly. There was no other way. Her body was injured and hadn't recovered yet. She could only temporarily accept her identity as a new teacher. The bespectacled girl forced a stiff smile that would make anyone retreat in fear. But the wooden mannequins nodded. She was one of their own kind. Ah, no. It doesn't really hurt. But they all have 2 arms, and I only have 1. Is that so? You finally realized something was wrong with feeling pain, huh? All of you are not right in the head, okay? The bespectacled girl frantically complained internally to relieve the fear and pressure in her heart. Teacher, I found an arm. Another wooden mannequin stepped forward, holding an arm. Wonderful. Let this teacher take a look. The bespectacled girl took the arm and found that it could be easily attached to their bodies. With a click, she attached it to the one-armed wooden mannequin. Done. The bespectacled girl breathed a sigh of relief. The wooden mannequin, now with 2 arms, happily retreated. But his eyes were a little lost, as if he was still a bit different from the others. The other wooden mannequins had symmetrical left and right hands. He had 2 right hands. Next. The bespectacled girl looked apologetically at the retreating figure of the wooden mannequin. Then, she shouted to the other wooden mannequins who were consciously lining up. She was getting into it. Chapter 68, Whoosh. Oatori pushed his lightning-style chakra mode to its limit, his entire body covered in deep blue electrical currents. Roar. With a furious roar, he slammed into the 3-meter-tall giant. Bam. 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 This time, Oatori fought like a madman, taking Ijeka's heavy punches head-on without dodging. A knee strike deeply caved in Ijeka's chest, sending the 3-meter-tall body crashing to the ground. Then, his left hand firmly gripped Ijeka's shoulder, while his right fist pounded Ijeka's face blow after blow. Ha 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 ha, feels good. Feels so good. Weren't you acting all tough because of your size? Do you think you're tough now? Huh? Do you? Oatori roared with laughter, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Bam. Bam. Splat. His powerful, lightning-enhanced fists completely pulverized Ijeka's face, finally shattering it like a watermelon. The sizzling sound of electricity sparked countless wisps of white smoke. Feels good. Oatori stood up shakily, completely exhausted. His lightning-style chakra mode vanished. The surrounding area was filled with craters created by the 2 giants' struggle. But, he felt stronger. Defeating a monster stronger than himself filled him with a sense of accomplishment, his confidence soaring. Just then, Ijeka, whose head he had just blown up, and who was lying on the ground, started trembling. In the next moment, amidst swirling mist, he stood up completely unharmed. Ijeka. The 3-meter giant roared towards the sky. Thump. 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 Heavy footsteps echoed as 2 more Ijekas emerged from the mist. 3 identical giants surrounded Oatori. This. How can I fight this? Oatori stared in disbelief, then turned and fled towards the South Teaching Building. There was no other way. He hated thinking, it was better to find Captain Samu and figure out a solution together. As for Karasu, he was clever and should be able to escape on his own. In a classroom in the North Building, the sound reading could be heard, as if a desperate student trying his hardest cram a year's worth of material into his head with an all-nighter. Next. Slowly, one by one, the bespectacled girl repaired the wooden mannequins damaged in the previous battles. These terrifying wooden mannequins didn't harm her. They obediently stood in line, forming a long queue. I didn't expect these ghost-like wooden mannequins to have such pure hearts, just like real students. The bespectacled girl gradually calmed down. If she had known this, they wouldn't have needed to run away. But anyone who saw a group of talking wooden people bowing to them would be frightened and would instinctively protect themselves, right? Teacher, my body hurts. The one whose turn it was now had a completely intact body, with a shiny wooden frame, clearly well maintained. Where does it hurt? Again, you have a body made out of wood, are you sure you can feel pain? The bespectacled girl put her hands on her hips, acting like a lecturing teacher. She even flicked the wooden mannequin's head, producing a thunk sound. Oh, I don't know what pain feels like, I'm just repeating what the teachers say. Then can you help me? Something's wrong with me. The wooden mannequin scratched its head. Bespectacled girl, what's wrong? Wooden mannequin, something's wrong with my body, can you help me? Bespectacled girl, what are the specific symptoms? Wooden mannequin, Something's wrong with my body. What other symptoms are there? Can you help me? Bespectacled girl, what's the specifics? Wooden mannequin, it's broken. Bespectacled girl, I'm asking which specific part of your body is uncomfortable? If you don't tell me, how can I fix you? Wooden mannequin, my whole body is uncomfortable. Bespectacled girl, specifically where? Wooden mannequin, my body. Bespectacled girl, where on your body? Wooden mannequin, the front. Bespectacled girl, the front is a large area, where specifically? Wooden mannequin, maybe the top, maybe the bottom. Oh right, my head feels uncomfortable too, is it missing? The bespectacled girl was about to go crazy. She knocked on his head, isn't your head right here? Wooden mannequin, my bottom feels uncomfortable too. Bespectacled girl, where exactly do you feel unwell? Wooden mannequin. So, can you help me? Get lost. The bespectacled girl, driven mad by this idiot, couldn't help but kick him. Thump. The wooden mannequin fell, its head popped off, and its eyes lit up. Hey, that feels better. PFFT. The bespectacled girl almost spat out blood. The next wooden mannequin in line, which only had a head, hopped up and attached itself to the body on the ground. Haha, this is my body. I finally found it. The new wooden mannequin stood up. Teacher, can I curse? Sorry, I really can't fit in with you guys. Like hell she can. The bespectacled girl was exhausted. These wooden mannequins all looked the same, how could she tell them apart? Coupled with their idiotic intelligence, repairing them was truly a difficult task. Just then, heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. A nearly 3-meter-tall muscular giant came into view. Intruder, die. The giant roared at the bespectacled girl and charged. This time, all the wooden mannequins were unhappy. They rushed forward, determined to protect the bespectacled girl from the muscular giant. Boom. The giant's huge hands swept out, instantly knocking several wooden mannequins away, sending them crashing into the wall and scattering them. Teacher, run. We'll hold him off. The wooden mannequins continued to swarm forward. You guys. The bespectacled girl was moved. She hadn't expected that after helping them with a few small things, they would risk their lives to protect her from the monster. It doesn't hurt, we can't die. As the wooden mannequins spoke, they piled on top of each other, forming a giant puppet that lunged at Ijeka. Bam. The two behemoths grappled in the hallway. As expected, nothing in this school is normal, I should just worry about myself. The bespectacled girl composed herself and quickly ran towards the back. Reaching the stairwell and about to go downstairs, she heard heavy footsteps coming from the second floor. Crap, there's another one here. Without time to think, the bespectacled girl hurried up to the 4th floor. Unfortunately, the footsteps behind her grew louder and louder. She wasn't as fast as the one chasing her. Just as the bespectacled girl was losing hope, she heard children's voices from the room ahead. I, the second mage, Yamanaka Ino. I, the giant of light, Okimeki Choji. I, the wielder of black flames, Uchiha. Bam. The bespectacled girl burst through the door. Inside a clearly just cleaned empty room, several small children were striking various poses. Beneath their feet was a glowing magic circle. Among them, a child wearing an eye patch was lazily leaning against the back wall. And, it was the ghost she had seen floating in the mist earlier, a glowing magic circle, another oddity of the academy. Recalling the strange words of these children just now. There wasn't a single normal person in this academy. The bespectacled girl really wanted to cry. Out of the frying pan, into the fire. Her situation could be described just like this. Excuse me. I am the harmless. And my name is Hidden Clouds Village Uzagi. Following the local customs, the bespectacled girl weakly raised her right hand like an obedient student and said tearfully, "Is it too late for me to leave now?" The heavy footsteps outside the door drew closer. Crap, she couldn't go out, she would die if she did. It was better to die at the hands of these unknown but seemingly cute little things. If they would give her the time for one song to avoid the monster outside the door. So, the bespectacled girl quickly changed her words, "To demonstrate my apologies, can I sing you a song?" Chapter 69. The little upstarts had just finished cleaning their club's meeting place and were engaged in a rather imposing title-declaring ceremony. Sasuke had initially refused, but Ino told him that only those with unique titles would gain tremendous power. She then casually unleashed a shower of golden ripples. This was an ability she'd recently discovered. Although she was a master, she'd somehow lost contact with Gilgamesh. But unexpectedly, she could borrow his Gate of Babylon. She could fling out noble phantasms like they were going out of style. Meanwhile, Sasuke, like the others, received a delicate club badge from Natsuki. He'd actually seen this thing before. Izumi had one just like it on the Hokage Rock. Wow! So Sister Izumi joined this powerful, Mysterious club a long time ago. And to think, Natsuki created this club. Sasuke's eyes shone. He envisioned his future where he awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, beating that weasel to a pulp, and turning him into a human stick. So, he happily adopted the title he'd shouted on Hokage Rock, Wielder of Black Flames, as his official title within the organization. He firmly believed that in the future, the name Wielder of Black Flames would resound throughout the ninja world. Just as the little ones were exchanging titles and designing their entrance poses, an unexpected guest barged in. This bespectacled young lady started spouting nonsense the moment she entered. She even said she wanted to sing for them. I didn't mishear, did I? This young lady wants to sing for us out of the blue? Choji asked his companions doubtfully. That's right, this young lady is not simple. Didn't you hear her say she was Cloud Rabbit the moment she came in? She's clearly stating her title, wanting to join our club, right? Ino said, stroking her chin with an air of worldly wisdom. 2 new members had joined the club. She was now a club veteran and had to act the part. What a joke. Join the club just by singing a song? I object. Naruto was the first to protest. I've wanted to join Natsuki's club since before I even entered the academy. After years of hard work, I finally just got in. Don't think you can join just because you're a girl and can sing a song. If it's singing, I can sing too. Naruto cleared his throat. Thud. He'd barely started when everyone felt like they'd been subjected to a mental attack. It was too awful. Ino punched Naruto, sending him flying into a corner. At the same time, several small basins and buckets of water that had just been filled with dirty water suddenly flew up and landed on him. Everyone was surprised and looked towards the low-profile Hinata, who had manipulated the basins. Seeing everyone's gaze on her, Hinata quickly withdrew her hands. So sorry. It was too awful, I couldn't help myself, Hinata stammered, her face flushed crimson as she fidgeted with her fingers, unable to handle the attention. I won't sing anymore. Please don't eat me. Just let me stay for 1 minute, and I'll leave immediately. The bespectacled girl pressed herself against the door, her face filled with terror. These children were definitely ghosts. They could move things with their minds and even fly. In this eerie school, the bespectacled girl immediately categorized everyone she saw as abnormal from the moment she stepped inside. Coupled with the children's bizarre behavior, she concluded that her identification of them was spot on. Since they didn't like listening to singing, so be it. It was a bit of a shame to waste her talent as the #1 songstress of Hidden Clouds Village, tied with a certain rapper from the same village. That rapping Jinchuriki had integrated rap into his entire life. Eat you? The little ones were confused. It was just a song, how would it escalate to cannibalism? Gotcha. So she's an idiot. Naruto removed the bucket from his head and got up from the floor. Agreed. Being called an idiot by an idiot. That's truly the epitome of being an idiot. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Young lady, we can't accept you into the club in your condition. You should seek help from the faculty office. Natsuki, understanding the situation, suppressed his laughter, walked down from the podium, and opened the door. Ah no. There's a monster outside. The bespectacled girl, forcing her trembling body to move, shouted hurriedly, trying to stop Natsuki. What monster? In a blink, Natsuki was already outside the door. The bespectacled girl's pupils constricted. He hadn't made a sound, it was as if he'd floated out. However, the next moment, she was surprised that the terrifying footsteps outside had vanished. What's going on? There really was a huge monster chasing me just now. The bespectacled girl trembled, cautiously poking half her head out the door. Huh? Where did it go? The 3-meter giant was indeed gone from the hallway. The bespectacled girl scratched her head. Could it be that they ran back after chasing me? Oh no. Lady Samyu is in danger. Slightly relieved, the bespectacled girl immediately remembered her companions who were still in danger. No, I have to save them. Sorry to bother you. Can I leave now? The bespectacled girl hurried out the door and asked in a small voice. She didn't quite understand why these little ghosts hadn't devoured her instantly. Maybe they were already full. The bespectacled girl glanced back at the classroom. Sure enough, a small bucket near the door was filled with a red liquid. Hiss. A chill ran down her spine. She looked up to see Natsuki floating above her head. What are you doing? Oh, standing tall to see ahead. I'm trying to see if there's the monster you mentioned. By the way, you can leave anytime. You don't need to ask us, unless you want to stay and keep us company. Haha. No, thank you. I have things to do. Stay and play floaty, head-swapping games with you ghosts. Then, shall we escort you? It might be safer that way. This little ghost with an eye patch seemed a bit insistent, asking again with a regretful expression. Such delicate, cute features. The bespectacled girl thought to herself. Too bad he was a ghost. And no, thank you. You just want a chance to eat me, right? But I won't fall for it. The bespectacled girl quickly waved her hands and hurried down the stairs. By the way, if you encounter danger, just shout Teacher Iruka. You might receive unexpected help. His reminder faintly reached her from behind as she descended the stairs. What does that mean? The bespectacled girl pushed her glasses up in confusion. Strange. She hadn't noticed before, but the place where those little ones stayed seemed to be the only place in the entire school without fog. Even the whole of 4th floor had been clear. Now, having just reached the 3rd floor, she was once again enveloped in a suffocatingly thick fog. Faint, heavy footsteps echoed once more. She would probably never know that it was the only normal place in the entire school. Chapter 70, Boom. Oatori was slammed hard into the floor by Ijeka. As Ijeka prepared to deliver a fatal piledriver, a flash of light sliced through the air. Swish. Ijeka's, the 3-meter giant's, head flew high into the air before crashing to the ground. But quickly, and visibly, the guard began to regrow a new head. Samyu didn't have time for explanations. She pulled Oatori up and was about to dash towards the school gate when 2 more giant guards surrounded them, along with Teacher Ka, who had been relentlessly pursuing her with masterful gentle fist and 8 trigrams palm techniques. Seeing that escaping the school was temporarily impossible, Samyu led Oatori back into the South Teaching Building, planning to use the narrow corridors to obstruct the school guards. These 3 unkillable school guards were the ones Oatori had led from the North Building. He had intended to regroup with Samyu and the others to find a way to deal with them. He hadn't expected that Samyu and her group would also encounter major trouble, with the bespectacled girl still trapped in the South Teaching Building, her fate unknown. Just as the 2 climbed to the 2nd floor and were about to head to the 3rd, the bespectacled girl hopped and skipped down from the 3rd floor landing. Her eyes lit up when she saw Samyu and Oatori, but she shouted as she ran, "Run! There's a huge guy behind me." As she was about to run down the stairs to the 1st floor, Samyu grabbed her. "This way! There are enemies on the 1st floor too." The 3 ran tirelessly into the corridor, trying to escape from the stairs on the other side. But heavy footsteps echoed from the fog-filled path ahead. "We're done for. We're surrounded." The bespectacled girl's face paled. They were on the 2nd floor corridor, their only option was to jump. But as a sensory ninja, she clearly sensed giant guards waiting on the 1st floor, ready to deliver a fatal blow as they landed. "Come on, let's hide in a classroom. If they dare to come in, I'll give them a slash." Samyu flung open a nearby classroom door and rushed in. With their paths blocked and jumping out of the question, the 3 hid in the classroom, preparing to use the terrain to their advantage. Soon, heavy footsteps sounded outside the door. Inside the classroom, Samyu held her blade, Oatori hefted a desk, and the bespectacled girl, after glancing at their formidable weapons and assessing her own small frame, silently raised a small stool. The 3 held their breath, staring intently at the door, ready to unleash a thunderous attack on the giant who broke in. The tense atmosphere lingered. After a few silent minutes, the heavy footsteps outside gradually faded away. "What's going on? They left? They're not coming in?" The 3 exchanged glances. After holding their breath for a few more minutes, they finally couldn't maintain such high alert state and began to relax. They seemed to have really gone. "Let's go. We'll rush out and run straight to the school gate. We need to get out of this creepy school first." "But Karasu is still trapped in the North Building. Let's get out first. This school is too dangerous. We need to seek Lord Darue's support and utilize the entire envoy's strength for a better rescue." "Okay, then I'll go open the door." Oatori slowly crouched by the classroom door and quietly opened it a crack, peeking outside. A gigantic, ferocious head filled his vision. Bloodshot eyes glared at him, and a blast of hot, foul breath washed over his face. "Ijeka. Fucking dog shit." Oatori's heart skipped 3 beats. His scalp tingled, his hair stood on end, and his body instinctively recoiled. A large hand burst through the door panel, instantly seizing Oatori by the throat, ripping the door open, and dragging him out. "Ah!" The scene startled the bespectacled girl, who was near the window to Oatori's left. She screamed and swung her chair at the intruding hand. However, she was a beat too slow. The attack landed squarely on Oatori's head as he was pulled out. Already exhausted and without his lightning-style chakra mode, Oatori was first scared half to death by the sudden appearance of the giant and then hit squarely on the head by his teammate. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted, being dragged out of the classroom like a rag doll. Before the bespectacled girl could apologize for hitting the wrong person, a veined, door-sized hand burst through the window and snatched her away like a kitten. With 2 companions gone in an instant, Samyu, who had been standing to Oatori's right, blanked out and instinctively leaped out the door to rescue them. Gentle fist, 128 palms. Just as she exited, Teacher Ka's small figure suddenly appeared before her. The next moment, a palm struck her left shoulder hard, stagnating her surging chakra instantly. Then, after a full combo attack, Samyu was completely disoriented. It's over. It's total annihilation. She had planned an ambush, but instead of a successful sneak attack, they had been ambushed instead, and they were surrounded. This school was truly terrifying. Ijuka. Eek, don't eat me. The three were captured by the giant guards and slowly led down the stairs, through the fog, towards the laboratory building in the depths of the campus. The terrifying guards emotionless, mechanical voices echoed in their ears. They were petrified. Sis, are they going to eat us? I don't want to be eaten. The bespectacled girl, dangling in the air like a chick, scratched and struggled, but she couldn't break free from the 3-meter-tall guards whose arms were thicker than her body. Oatori remained unconscious. Since he was also a tall, nearly 2-meter man, he was dragged face down. Samui's chakra pathways were sealed, rendering her unable to escape. Damn it, if only Darui were here. Just as they were falling into despair, regretting their recklessness, the bespectacled girl remembered the reminder from the elusive little ghost. Clutching at straws, she closed her eyes and shouted at the top of her lungs, Teacher Iruka. After a long moment, there was no response. The fog still swirled around them. What's wrong? Samyu asked strangely. I don't know. The bespectacled girl blushed, feeling foolish for trusting the words of a little ghost in his school. Samyu was in a bad mood. One teammate was missing, 3 were unconscious, and the last conscious one seemed to have gone mad, yelling incomprehensibly. Was she calling for her teacher from the academy days? But there was no such person she knew of in Hidden Clouds Village. Ahead, the shadow of a building gradually materialized in the thick fog. They were approaching the laboratory building, about to be eaten alive or cooked, they didn't know. Suddenly, a figure appeared before them. Stop. Stay right there. What are they doing? Why are you arresting them? Hearing this, the giant guards immediately released their captives. The bespectacled girl landed on her backside with a thud. Samyu, who had been struggling with her head tilted back, landed chest first. Fortunately, both were cushioned enough to avoid serious injury. These are intruders. Damaging the school. The school guard named Ijuka replied in a deep, rumbling voice. We're not intruders. We're the Hidden Clouds Village envoy, here for a school visit. Samyu, seeing someone she could communicate with, ignored the pain in her chest and shouted. 1 million. The figure in the fog gradually emerged. He looked just like Teacher Kla and the giants, only this person was of average height. What do you mean? And how should I address you? Samyu carefully helped the bespectacled girl up and rubbed her aching chest. So painful, so red. Ouch. These guards say you damaged the school. Pay up 1 million for repairs to public facilities. As for you, leaving here will cost extra. This is because you haven't harmed my students. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be able to leave. As for who I am, didn't you just call for me? Listening to the newcomer, the bespectacled girl's eyes widened. Your teacher Iruka? That cute little child hadn't lied to her. Chapter 71. Finally, Samui's 4-person team, who were secretly visiting the Ninja Academy, had to use 2 million ryo from the Hidden Clouds Village Envoy's activity funds to safely leave Hidden Leaf Village's Ninja Academy. When Samui, Glasses, and Oatori, with Iruka's help, found Karasu, who was still trapped in the North Building classroom, he was already delirious, his eyes vacant as he recited pages 200-300 of The Will of Fire, Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Chronicles. He seemed to be under a very powerful Genjutsu. As Samui and the others dragged him away, he continued to mutter, No. I haven't finished memorizing it yet, teacher said. We can't leave class until we completely memorize. When the tree leaves dance, one shall find flames. The fire's shadow will illuminate the village, and once again, tree leaves shall bud anew. Samui and the others exchanged glances, then had Oatori forcibly take him away. It's too terrifying, I swear I'll never come back here again. That was their collective thought. After paying 2 million ryo for school repairs and personal protection, they were seen off by the 3-meter-tall campus guards, neatly lined up broom soldiers, frolicking wooden puppet students, the oddly sized and strangely thinking teachers Ka and Iruka, and many other beings looming in the mist. Waving goodbye under the farewell of teacher Iruka, seemingly the only normal human, they trembled as they walked out of the academy gates. It was like going from hell to heaven. The moment they stepped out, the oppressive and unsettling mist suddenly vanished. Looking back, the monsters and demons they had encountered along the way were gone, as if everything they had seen was an illusion. Samui couldn't help but rub her aching chest. Glasses counted the envoy's activity funds and confirmed that 2 million ryo was indeed missing. The road home would be difficult. Oatori knocked on his head, as if he could hear the echo of sloshing water. He was still dizzy. Karasu was still reciting the Will of Fire. "What? I'll never come to Hidden Leaf Village again," Glasses wailed. "Huh?" Everyone nodded vigorously. Karasu was forced to nod along. Unlike other enemies, no matter how difficult they were to fight, at least they knew their opponents were human. What kind of bizarre creatures were in this academy? Confusing them completely, just when they felt despair, a glimmer of hope would appear, only to be instantly shattered. It was as if a hidden hand was manipulating everything, making them look foolish and playing them thoroughly, without them even knowing who the real enemy was. It was too much to bear. At the last moment of their departure, they took one last look at the academy that had given them such unforgettable memories. As ninjas, their sharp eyes immediately noticed a boy with an eye patch standing on the roof of the academy building, waving at them and saying something. The next moment, he vanished. That's the cute little ghost who is floating in the mist," Glasses said, her pupils constricting with mixed emotions. "He seems to be saying that we'll meet again soon," Sammy whispered. I'll never come to Hidden Leaf Village again. They can't possibly follow us to Hidden Clouds Village, can they?" Oatori said with a dark expression. They're back. The Shadow of Fire." Karasu continued to recite the Hidden Leaf Village Ninja Chronicle. This time, everyone lost their patience and surrounded him, giving him a thorough beating. Afterwards, like startled kittens, they quickly left, rushing towards the Cloud Envoy's residence. This time, their plan had backfired spectacularly. They would be severely criticized upon their return. However, Darui, the head of the Hidden Clouds Village Envoy, felt that Samyu and the others had done a good job. They had clearly uncovered Hidden Leaf Village's ultimate secret. The secret to Hidden Leaf Village's educational methods, which could continuously produce geniuses and firmly occupy the position of the #1 ninja village in the ninja world, was education induced by terror. He originally wanted to visit the Ninja Academy himself, but was firmly held back by Samyu and the others, so he had to give up. After all, Karasu was still reciting the Will of Fire, which was truly disturbing. "If I became Raikage, I will implement this kind of education in Hidden Clouds Village to thoroughly stimulate the full potential of the students," Darui declared. The next day, they quickly bid farewell to Hidden Leaf Village and returned to Hidden Clouds Village. Darui reported the incident to the current 4th Raikage. The 4th Raikage, not having experienced it firsthand, decided to choose 1/5 of Hidden Clouds Village's academy students as a pilot group for this educational method. Thus, the number of crazy students in Hidden Clouds Village began to increase year by year. Land of Hot Water, after finally conquering a town and enjoying the rest for a few months, they were once again besieged by surrounding nations and various ninja villages. To protect the last remaining members of the Uchiha, Fugaku had to ask the King of Heroes, Gilgamesh, to temporarily abandon this stronghold. Currently, they served Gilgamesh as their king, only wanting to borrow his power to preserve the last vestiges of the Uchiha. With Gilgamesh's temperament, he would never retreat, no matter how many enemies came. However, he hadn't yet recovered from the battle in Hidden Leaf Village, and his Gate of Babylon was unusable for some reason. Moreover, after regaining his body, he had indeed enjoyed endless pleasure along the way and received meticulous care from the Uchiha clan. He didn't care about those insignificant soldiers, but the Uchiha clan members were inevitably unable to protect everyone fully. After all, ninjas excelled at assassination, and many of these Uchiha were old, weak, sick, or disabled. After traveling in the ninja world for a while, the King of Heroes understood this world more and more. Looking at the dusty and exhausted Fugaku, Gilgamesh, sitting on his throne while 2 Uchiha maidservants poured him tea and wine, nodded. He finally decided to leave this temporary base. It was useless to conquer new territory if all his servants died. That would make him a failure as a king. He was the King of Heroes, it was an honor for his servants to die for him. But needless sacrifice was unacceptable. A king who couldn't protect his subjects was unworthy of the title. "Where do you plan to go next?" he asked. "You are the clan head and my current most capable general. If you only want to scurry around like a rat without a destination, just to survive, then there's no need for others to act. I can eliminate you myself. Because such Uchiha are not worthy of living in this world, not worthy of becoming my warriors, and certainly unable to survive in this cruel world. You should know this better than I." Gilgamesh questioned sharply, his words fierce. "Thank you for your guidance, King Gilgamesh." Fugaku took 2 steps forward and pulled out a map from his pocket, spreading it out on the table before them. "We can go south to the Land of Waves next. It's surrounded by the sea on all sides, easy to defend and difficult to attack. Most importantly, its defenses are exceptionally weak. We can easily take it. However, before that, we must send a group of people north to lure away our pursuers." Gilgamesh glanced at the map, nodded slightly, then shook his head. The direction is good, but the location is not. Such a small piece of land is useless for future development. Moreover, it's right next to the land of fire, with another great nation, the land of water, behind it. If the sea routes are cut off, I can easily leave, but it would be extremely difficult for you to escape. Fugaku frowned, realizing his plan was indeed a bit too naive. The main problem was that the Uchiha were now like stray dogs, without any support in the entire ninja world. Then, what does your majesty suggest? The King of Heroes glanced at the map again and snorted contemptuously. Continue south, find the largest port in the land of hot water. After acquiring enough ships, cross the sea and head to the land of water. We'll use its numerous islands as bases to gradually erode the entire land of water. During this time, I will personally visit Hidden Mist Village, which is rumored to be in turmoil. If I can completely integrate this place without any worries, I will have enough confidence to sweep across the entire ninja world. The premise is that I find out who that guy is, the one who can transform into a giant of light, who steals my noble phantoms at every crucial moment. Fugaku's pupils constricted. The Uchiha were once synonymous with arrogance and dominance in the entire ninja world. Now, it seemed, they were as insignificant as ants trying to shake a tree before the King of Heroes. Chapter 72. It was another beautiful day. But this class was one of Natsuki's least favorite. Not the ideology class on the Will of Fire, but arithmetic. Not because arithmetic was too difficult, but because it was too simple. Although the Academy's theoretical courses were taught quickly, they were still too easy for Natsuki, who had received higher education in his previous life. So, he propped up the thickest book, The Will of Fire, to block the teacher's line of sight, leaned over and fell asleep on his desk. Zzz. Zzz. After a while, Hinata, his deskmate, gently shook his arm. What? Natsuki lifted his head, his eyes still sleepy, and looked at Hinata. Natsuki, please pay attention. This is a very difficult arithmetic class. And I think teacher noticed you just now, Hinata whispered, her face close to his ear, as if this would prevent Iruka at the podium from noticing her talking. Oh, it's nothing. I'm listening, Natsuki said. And don't bother me for a while. The demon god's power has been growing stronger recently, and the seal is unstable. I was just in deep meditation, communicating with other dimensions, capturing dimensional energy to reinforce the seal. As the first mage, you must block all unnecessary distractions for me so I can finish my meditation. Natsuki pointed dramatically at his eye patch-covered eye. After speaking, he laid his head back down and went back to sleep. Okay. Hinata nodded seriously, her small face flushed. On the podium, Iruka had just finished explaining the day's lesson and began to ask questions. Alright students, let me test your understanding of arithmetic. Question: the Academy has a total of 120 kunai. Our class receives 20. The rest are divided equally between Class 2 and Class 3. How many kunai does Class 2 get? As soon as he finished speaking, the top student, Sakura, gave the answer: Class 2 gets 50. Naruto, who was still counting on his fingers and toes, was unhappy and stood up, shouting, Teacher, why does our class only get 20 kunai? The other classes get 50? That's not fair. Hearing Sakura's answer, Naruto didn't doubt it at all and immediately began to question Iruka. I think our class should have 100, and the other classes can have 20. Thump. This is a hypothetical question, idiot. Before Iruka could respond, Sakura turned around and bonked Naruto on the head, knocking him back onto his desk. Iruka mentally gave Sakura 2 thumbs up. He said with a smile, Sakura's answer is absolutely correct. Now, the next question, Naruto, please answer. There are 10 birds in a tree. You have 10 kunai in your hand. It takes 5 kunai to hit one bird. Question: how many birds can you hit? Hearing this, Naruto grinned. The entire class only had 20 kunai, and he got 10. As expected, Teacher Iruka favors me the most. He thought smugly, glancing sideways at Sasuke with a proud expression. TCH. If it were me, I could hit all 10, Sasuke said, looking at the idiot. Naruto. Stop looking around and answer the question. How many birds can you hit? Iruka knocked on the podium. 10. This time, Naruto didn't need to count on his fingers. He spread out his 10 fingers and answered loudly. Ha 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 ha. The whole class burst into laughter. Naruto, please listen to the question carefully. You only have 10 kunai, and it takes 5 kunai to hit one bird. So, after you throw all your kunai, how many birds can you hit? Iruka's face darkened as he reminded Naruto again. 10. Sasuke can hit 10, why can't I? Let's go outside and hit some birds right now. Naruto slammed his hand on the desk and said with wide eyes. You have to throw at least 10 kunai to hit one bird in every practical class, a teasing voice drifted from somewhere in the classroom. Ha 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 ha. The answer is 2. The laughter erupted again, and someone took the opportunity to shout out the correct answer. Iruka wiped the sweat from his forehead. He felt he shouldn't have called on Naruto. He raised his hands and pressed down, silencing the class's laughter. It is indeed 2. Iruka stated the answer and told Naruto to sit down again. At the same time, he glanced around. In such a short time, the students had livened up, and they were no longer afraid to answer questions. Good, I'll take this opportunity to give them a few more questions. Suddenly, his gaze landed on Natsuki's desk. He was holding up the book The Will of Fire during arithmetic class. Although they were all his classes, and he was pleased that someone so young cherished and inherited the Will of Fire, this was arithmetic class. And even with all the commotion earlier, Natsuki hadn't reacted. Could he be? Immediately, Iruka walked down from the podium. Sure enough, behind the tall book, Natsuki was sprawled out on the desk, sleeping soundly. His little mouth smacked occasionally, it seemed he was dreaming of delicious food. However, this was class time. Iruka's face darkened, and he was about to wake Natsuki up when Hinata, his deskmate, quickly stood up and put a finger to her lips. Shhh, Natsuki is meditating, reinforcing the great demon god seal and protecting the world, Hinata said with a serious expression, her large eyes blinking. Iruka involuntarily took a small step back. Great demon god? It sounded terrifying. Subconsciously, he didn't dare to disturb him. The usually reserved Hinata's serious voice had such effect on Iruka, her teacher. But in a blink of an eye, he came to his senses. Isn't he just sleeping? And she gave me such an absurd reason. This is my class. Forget that I've never heard of any demon god in this world. Even if there was one, I would just smack it in the head. He reached out to shake Natsuki awake. No. Hinata exclaimed, reaching out with both hands to grab Iruka's arm and stop him. Iruka glared at her fiercely, like a demon. Hinata froze, her hands hovering in the air. Just as Iruka's demonic palm was about to touch Natsuki. Why is it so quiet? Is class over? Natsuki suddenly sat up straight, stretching his arms as if he had just woken up. So you know you're in class? You were sleeping just now, weren't you? Are you too tired lately, too sleepy perhaps? Iruka's face was dark, but he still managed a forced smile. Teacher Iruka. Seeing who it was, Natsuki's expression turned serious, his laziness gone. No, this little bit of fatigue is nothing compared to yours, Teacher Iruka. Just now, the great demon god almost broke the seal and tried to disrupt your class. The academy, and even all of Hidden Leaf Village, was in grave danger. Fortunately, through strong willpower and deep meditation, I reinforced the barrier and sealed him again. Teacher, there's no need to praise me, this is what a student must do, Natsuki said solemnly, only he knew what it took for him to keep a straight face. But he was getting used to it. Yes. Natsuki, you worked hard. Hinata, beside him, also looked serious, clenching her small fists. Natsuki wouldn't lie, he must have just gone through a difficult battle in another dimension. Looking at the two serious children, Iruka's lips twitched. Could what they said be true? Nonsense. I don't believe you. Teacher. Actually, I've been listening attentively to your class and even did preparation before class. If you don't believe me, you can test me. Natsuki stretched out his arm, spreading his 5 fingers, once again interrupting Iruka. Very well, since you asked for it, I'll take this opportunity to test you. Iruka finally revealed a cheerful smile. This is what you asked for. Let me see how capable you are, sleeping through class. Question. There are 890 birds in a tree. 130 fly away. How many are left? 760. Question. 7 years ago, a mother's age was 6 times her son's age. The son is 12 years old this year. How old is the mother this year? The mother is 37 years old. 2 ninjas are 300 meters apart and spot each other at the same time. They immediately run towards each other. One runs at 8 meters per second, and the other runs at 7 meters per second. Question. How long will it take for them to meet? 20 seconds. C. Correct. Iruka looked at the answer sheet for the graduating class's arithmetic test with a shocked expression. Wow. The whole class became lively again. Mainly because the questions and answers were exchanged too quickly. Natsuki didn't even hesitate before giving the answers. Even Sakura, the top student, felt discouraged, she hadn't even finished calculating yet. Teacher, I have a question to test everyone, Natsuki said with a grin, looking at the lively classroom. There are 10 birds in a tree. I will only throw 1 kunai at a time, and 1 kunai can hit 2 birds. I only have 2 kunai in my hand. Question. How many birds can I hit in total? Chapter 73, 4. This problem is simple. 1 kunai can hit 2 birds, so 2 kunai can hit 4, right? Shouldn't we be asking how Natsuki's kunai managed to hit 2 birds with 1 throw? The students all scrambled to answer. Even Iruka nodded. 4. Wrong, the answer is 2. Only 2 will be hit, because the other 6 would be scared away. Natsuki shook his head, giving his answer. His expression was full of regret, as if lamenting how everyone couldn't even answer such a simple question. What? There's that solution too? Iruka's face darkened. He felt like a perfectly good arithmetic lesson had been completely derailed by Natsuki. But after thinking about it, he felt that it made sense, and he couldn't refute it. However, if this continued, and everyone answered questions in their own way, how could he continue teaching arithmetic? He had to bite the bullet and stop Natsuki from causing more chaos. This answer doesn't count. Only the numbers matter, don't consider real-world scenarios here. Let's change the question. Okay, let's change it. There's 1 bird on the first tree, 2 birds on the second tree, 4 birds on the third tree, and 8 birds on the fourth tree, and so on. The question is, how many birds are on the 64th tree? Natsuki posed another question. It seemed like a simple problem, but Iruka quickly went over it in his mind and found that he couldn't solve it. He quickly took out a pen and paper and started calculating. He found that the further he went, the larger the numbers became. In a short while, a single tree would have to hold over 1,000,000 birds. Can a tree even hold so many birds? Don't worry about whether a tree can hold that many birds. Even if they fell, the number would be the same. Moreover, you were the one who said not to consider real-world scenarios. After Natsuki replied, he returned to his seat and narrowed his eyes. The morning quickly passed as Iruka led the students in counting. In the end, he still couldn't figure it out. But Natsuki clearly knew the number of birds on each tree. Finally, Iruka had to admit that Natsuki's arithmetic skills far surpassed ordinary people, and learning this basic arithmetic was indeed a bit of a waste of his talent. From now on, during class, he could continue to meditate, and Iruka would just pretend not to notice. The morning passed quickly, and it was lunchtime. The students, as if relieved of a heavy burden, rushed home for lunch. Of course, many also brought their own bento, which allowed them more time for their lunch break. Hinata was one of them. She took out 2 bento boxes and gently woke Natsuki. Natsuki, it's time for lunch. There's taiyaki, amaris, and 3-color dango. Did you make this yourself? Looking at the 2 large bento boxes in front of him, Natsuki asked cautiously. Recently, Hinata had started to enjoy cooking for herself. The bento boxes previously prepared by her family servants were large and delicious. But since she started cooking herself, the taste had taken a sharp downturn. After all, she had just begun learning culinary arts. Fortunately, it wasn't inedible and it wouldn't kill anyone. It could fill his stomach, but the seasoning were still far off, often being overcooked or undercooked, tasting like chewing wax. Natsuki, have some. Hinata picked up a piece of fish with her chopsticks and put it in her mouth, chewing slowly, her eyes full of anticipation as she looked at Natsuki. Natsuki felt helpless. He wasn't a picky eater, but every time he saw this expression, he couldn't bear to refuse her request. So, he said a silent prayer and took the bento box. For the first bite, he bit into the taiyaki. Suddenly, a fresh flavor filled his mouth. It actually tastes pretty good. Natsuki nodded in approval. As he spoke, he took another bite. Then I'll give Natsuki some more, but this should be eaten while it's hot. Hinata immediately smiled happily upon hearing this. As she spoke, she kept putting fish into Natsuki's bowl, and Natsuki didn't stop her. Natsuki, you don't hate me, do you? Seeing that Natsuki didn't speak, Hinata asked carefully, the food I made before was terrible. So, I practiced this dish specifically for a week. After speaking, she remembered how her parents were her first guinea pigs this week, and their pained expressions every time they tried her food. Even her younger sister, Hanabi, who was still young, had secretly tasted a bite, resulting in her having no appetite for several days, scaring her mother into calling several medical ninjas to check on her. It's alright, I'm used to it. Natsuki shook his head, smiling as he rubbed Hinata's soft hair. My poison resistance is maxed out. Hinata rolled her eyes after hearing this. Then she comfortably narrowed her eyes like a kitten, and wisps of steam curled up from her little head. Soon, the 2 large boxes of food were completely devoured by the 2 gluttons. Hyuga clan assets -1. Even after resting for a while after the meal, Natsuki felt a bit full. After all, there was a world of difference between this and yesterday's bento. Natsuki had no choice but to take Hinata for a walk in the small woods behind the school to help with digestion. By the way, Natsuki, I've mastered the ability of attraction and repulsion. In the woods behind the school, as the two were strolling, Hinata suddenly stopped and looked up at Natsuki. What? Natsuki was slightly taken aback. That is, I can now easily control the gravity around my body. Also, I can easily lift large rocks that I couldn't before. Hinata answered seriously. Really? Natsuki was secretly delighted. As long as the first stage was completed, he could continue to teach her the second stage of puppet manipulation. As long as she mastered the second ability, Hinata's proficiency with the Tenseigan would definitely reach 50%. Then he could accelerate obtaining a complete Tenseigan. Silver Wheel Reincarnation Explosion, Golden Wheel Reincarnation Explosion, all would be his reach. Moreover, with the improvement of her abilities, Hinata would be safer in this dangerous ninja world. Look. The little girl nodded. She skipped towards a 2-meter large rock. As she ran, she gently floated up and then gently landed, like a feather drifting in the wind, graceful and natural. Ha! When she was only a few meters away from the boulder, she pushed out with both her small hands. The entire boulder was suddenly pushed forward as if by an invisible giant hand. The next moment, it was pulled back horizontally and then suspended in the air, tracing a graceful circular trajectory. Not bad, not bad. Let me see how strong you are. Seeing Hinata having fun, Natsuki couldn't help but join in. Immediately, an even larger rock flew into the air. Both the stones, one drawing a dragon on the left, and the other drawing a rainbow on the right, collided in midair. With a thunderous crash, they exploded in the air. Boom. Gulp. Through the dust that filled the sky, a thick-browed boy carrying a nearly 1-meter large rock on his back stared at the sky and swallowed hard. His face was covered in sweat, and it flowed like a waterfall. Through persistent effort, his taijutsu had become stronger and stronger. From being at the bottom of the class, he could now carry a nearly 1-meter large rock for training with his own strength. He had prided himself on that fact. Rock Lee, who was second to none among his peers, suddenly felt that the small stone on his back wasn't that impressive anymore. This is true genius. Guys. No. Both teachers. What technique is this? Please teach me. Lee, an older student, threw down the rock he was carrying. He scrambled to the two of them and said with a sincere face, "My name is Rock Lee, it's a pleasure to meet both of you." Oh, powerful ninjas. That's right, possessing such power was clearly not something a Ninja Academy student could do. Even a typical genin would probably be crushed before even seeing them. And judging by their age, they were obviously younger than him. Respecting strength, Lee, who yearned to become a ninja, shouted loudly, "I implore both teachers to accept me as a student." Chapter 74, Lee's words startled the two of them. Natsuki, is there something wrong with his head? Hinata quickly hid behind Natsuki, peeking out to observe Lee. She was playing peacefully with Natsuki when this older student suddenly appeared, claiming he wanted to become their student. Was he brain damaged or something? Natsuki, however, was aware of Lee's situation. Lacking talent in ninjutsu, he constantly strived to become a ninja. His efforts had actually borne fruit. Not to mention his progress in taijutsu, the attention of the man who almost single-handedly ended the Third Great Ninja War with a kick was the best outcome. And at this point in time, he should have already caught Might Guy's attention. Guy was the best teacher for Lee. There's nothing wrong with my head. I just want to learn that technique you used, the one that helps you throw large rocks around. It was amazing. I can only lift rocks about a meter in size. Seeing Hinata's dumbfounded expression, large drops of sweat rolled down Lee's forehead as he quickly explained. We don't want to take on any students. It's too much trouble. And you can't learn this technique anyway. Natsuki stepped forward and shook his head. So it's another exclusive jutsu? Lee gritted his teeth, his face full of unwillingness. He thought of a certain classmate who also possessed the Byakugan. However, I can teach you a stronger technique, much more impressive than throwing rocks. Natsuki's next sentence ignited a spark of hope in Lee's eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, Natsuki pushed out his palm flatly. Shinra Tensei low output. Rustle in the distance, on the direction his palm pointed, a large tree swayed violently as if caught in a strong wind, despite the calmness of the air. Countless leaves fluttered down from the tree. This is so amazing. Lee's eyes shone brightly. I want to learn this. This is the hidden lotus palm. I've only just begun learning it, and I haven't mastered it yet. At its highest level, this technique can wipe out the entire academy with a single palm. Why the academy again? Hinata couldn't help but think in her heart. Natsuki continued, if you can make a large tree sway violently with just the force generated by your palm, that means you've mastered the basics. Moreover, after learning this technique, you'll gain a strong recovery ability, which will be very helpful for your future training. This time, don't end up crippled by Gaara in the Chunin exams like in the original story. If it weren't for Lady Tsunade, you wouldn't even be able to continue be a ninja, and you'd be completely sidelined later on. Hard work will always be rewarded by heaven. If heaven doesn't favor you, then I will. That's great. Then I can undergo even more intense training. Lee asked excitedly, so how do I use this technique? A moment later, the two young teachers returned to the academy. Do I really just need to shout, Hidden Lotus Bomb? Lee was left alone in the back mountains, scratching his head, looking at the exquisite badge in his hand with a puzzled expression. And then there was this Dimensional Ends congregation. Listening to their parting words, it seemed he had joined an extraordinary organization. Maybe, this is what makes them exceptional. If they can do it, then I can definitely do it through hard work. Lee encouraged himself. So, first, 100 push-ups as a warm-up, then I'll practice the Hidden Lotus Palm. He took a deep breath, put his legs together, spread his arms, leaned forward, and lowered himself to the ground. 1.2.3. He quickly finished 100 push-ups. I can never hope to learn the Hidden Lotus Palm with this kind of lax training. I'll add 200 frog jumps. As Lee constantly found excuses to increase his training load, casually adding several training requirements for the Hidden Lotus Palm. He too had quite the talent for being an established Chunin. His fists clenched, his muscles tensed, he performed a standard frog jump, then quickly hopped forward, soon disappearing into the depths of the back mountains. Moments later, two small figures reappeared nearby, watching Lee's departing figure from afar. Natsuki, I really think there's something wrong with his head. Hinata whispered as she watched Lee's incomprehensible behavior. She'd heard that this kind of behavior was contagious. Hopefully, Natsuki wouldn't be influenced by it. By the way, does this Hidden Lotus Palm really exist? Maybe it didn't before, but now it's hard to say. Natsuki watched Lee disappear into the forest, a smile gradually appearing on his face. Lee was a hard-working individual, and from what he could see, a Chunin genius. If he couldn't do it, then who could? Why aren't they here yet? In the woods outside the southern port of the Land of Hot Water, a figure paced anxiously beside a large rock. It was Yudoku Uchiha, the representative of the pro-war faction who constantly pulled aggro towards the Uchiha and rejected Hiruzen's peace offers during the night of the Uchiha clan massacre. They won't be coming, because they haven't received your letters. Just then, a familiar figure slowly came into Yudoku's view. Lord Fugaku, you. Why are you here? Yudoku's pupils constricted and he had a bad feeling. I'm here to see an old friend off. Fugaku said with a soft smile. He wasn't wearing the Uchiha uniform but casual clothes, as if he were truly seeing off a friend. However, Yudoku knew that they were currently in a precarious situation, on the run. How could any old friend came to visit? You must be joking, Lord Fugaku. We're fleeing for our lives, and now is a crucial moment for crossing the sea. There's no time for us to entertain visitors. Yudoku forced a smile. You know it's a precarious situation for our clan, yet you're still out attracting pursuers toward us. As if, you fear that others won't know we're here? My old friend, Yudoku. What benefits did the Hidden Leaf Village Council give you to make you work so hard for them? After finishing his sentence, Fugaku tossed out a scroll toward Yudoku. After a puff of smoke, several letters appeared on the ground. Yudoku's pupils constricted. Those were the letters he had sent out through various methods. Lord Fugaku, spare me. I didn't want to do this, I don't want to live like a fugitive anymore. Yudoku knelt on the ground, seemingly begging for forgiveness and confessing I just wanted a peaceful retirement. They said as long as fire style, dragon fire jutsu. But in the next moment, his clasped hands swiftly formed several hand seals. He abruptly raised his head, and a dragon made out of fire surged forth toward Fugaku. I'm sorry, Lord Fugaku. This is not a fate we can resist. In the next moment, Yudoku, who thought his sneak attack had succeeded, felt the light in his eyes gradually extinguish, replaced by endless darkness. The orange-red flames were swallowed by another black flame. It was Amaterasu, the flames that burned everything to ashes. On the other side, at the port, the hero King Gilgamesh led the Uchiha clan members, plundering all the ships, sailors, and even shipwrights in the entire port. Bring all the sailors and craftsmen in this port to me. Gather all the ships as well, prepare to cross the sea. Gilgamesh shouted loudly. My king, we can't do this. By indiscriminately capture people, we will truly become the enemy of the entire ninja world. Yamagan Uchiha, an elder of the clan, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and pleaded. Fool, who said I was going to forcibly seize their ships? I'll pay for them all. And those sailors who are willing to come with us will receive 3 times their original salary. My king. Our funds may be sufficient for our daily expenses, but recruiting sailors and purchasing ships is far beyond our means. Bang! Before Yamagan could finish speaking, a golden ripple lit up before his eyes. A massive mountain of gold crashed to the ground before Yamagan. Are these trinkets enough? The Hero King waved his hand impatiently. Enough. There are more than enough. Yamagan's mouth opened wide enough to swallow an ostrich egg. Chapter 75, Time flew past. It was now the 60th year of Hidden Leaf Village. This relatively peaceful life was about to be shattered with the graduation of the Hidden Leaf Village 12. Moreover, there was now an additional presence in the ninja world, constantly changing its landscape. Lady Kurenai, is Natsuki awake yet? Today's the graduation exam. Yesterday, everyone agreed to meet up at your house. I made breakfast for Natsuki. Oh, and for you too, Lady Kurenai. The morning sun was bright. Early on, several kids barged into the courtyard of Natsuki's house. They were the members of Natsuki's Dimensional Ends congregation, the Inoshikacho trio, Hinata, Sasuke, and Naruto. As for Lee, he had become a genin a year ago and was currently out on a mission with Guy. It was said that because of his obsession with practicing the Hid Lotus Bomb, he would run off to punch trees whenever he had free time. Apparently, Ten, the little rich girl, mistakenly thought Guy was again riling Lee up with nonsense, driving him to madness. Oh, it's little Ino and Hinata. Come on in. Natsuki should be up. Why don't you go wake him up? My seafood porridge is almost ready. We'll all eat together in a bit, Kurenai greeted them cheerfully. It seemed that despite her brother's eccentricities, he was quite popular at the academy, having so many good friends. Wow, is there breakfast? I didn't eat enough this morning. I'll help out. Choji exclaimed happily, pulling Shikamaru along to help. You ate 5 bowls at my house this morning. What do you mean you didn't eat enough? Shikamaru retorted with a look, but still went to help. Then we'll wipe the tables, Naruto, never one to stay still, shouted, pulling Sasuke along with him. Well, Natsuki asked everyone to gather at his house yesterday. Is this his way of getting us to clean up his house? Natsuki's always been a schemer. Sasuke thought with a deadpan expression as he accepted a rag. Still, it had been a while since he felt this kind of homey atmosphere. Lady Kurenai, I'm not a little kid anymore. We're about to become ninjas. Ino pouted, placing her and Hinata's large lunchboxes on the table and pulling Hinata towards Natsuki's room. Indeed, over the past 2 years, Ino had developed nicely. Coupled with her straightforward personality and more mature clothing style, she looked like Hinata's older sister taking care of her younger sibling. Knock, knock, knock. Natsuki, wake up. The sun's burning your butt. Ino knocked on the door, her knocks growing increasingly louder. Ino. Are we too early? Maybe we should let Natsuki sleep a little longer, Hinata whispered, tugging at Ino's hand. We're not early in the slightest. At this pace, by the time he washes up and eats, we'll be late for the graduation exam. No, we have to wake him up now. But maybe Natsuki was exhausted from protecting the dimensional seal last night and overslept, Ino said thoughtfully, stroking her chin. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. She leaned close to Hinata's ear and whispered, hee hee, Hinata, do you want to see how Natsuki looked like when he sleeps? I have the key to his room. Ino pulled out a key from a hidden corner of a nearby cabinet. How did you get that key? Hinata's eyes widened, a strange emotion in her voice. Oh, haven't we come over to play many times? Last time, we couldn't wake him up from outside, so Lady Kurenai led me indirectly and splashed water on him to wake him up. And she told me where this hidden key was. Alright, hurry up and decide. Are you coming in or not? If not, just wait out here, Ino urged, quietly opening the door. This isn't right, Hinata gulped, a worried expression on her face. But seeing Ino slip inside quietly in her socks, she gritted her teeth, kicked off her shoes, and followed, quickly closing the door behind her as if afraid of being caught. Inside the tidy room, a small mountain of blankets bulged on the comfortable bed. Hee hee hee. Ino rubbed her hands together and made a shush gesture at Hinata. She tiptoed to the bed and grabbed the corner of the blanket. Lazy pig. Wake up! She yelled, quickly pulling back the covers, hoping to surprise Natsuki. However, beneath the blanket lay only a large pillow. No Natsuki. What's going on? Where is he? Before she could finish, a figure jumped down from the ceiling near the doorway. Caught off guard, Ino and Hinata were tackled, falling back into the blankets. Startled, they were about to fight back when a familiar voice rang out beside their ears. Audacious. Where did these 2 little monsters come from, daring to trespass into the palace of the Dimensional Lord? Prepare to surrender your lives. Hearing this, Ino was the first to react, raising her hand in a claw-like gesture. I am the great second mage, Yamanaka Ino, servant of the magnificent Dimensional Lord, the great demon God Sealer, founder of the Dimensional Ends Congregation. State your name. You dare disrespect me? Natsuki effortlessly pinned down Ino with one hand. Humphrey. I am the Dimensional Lord you speak of, Yui Natsuki. So it is the Lord. No wonder you defeated me with one blow. But as the second mage, I will not yield so easily. Ino crossed her arms, struggling to push against Natsuki's arm. Very well. It seems the second mage's power remains undiminished. And this one? Both looked towards Hinata. Eh? Hinata hugged herself nervously. I surrender. No. Ino shook her head. Have you forgotten your identity? We are the pioneers who protect the dimension. How can we surrender so easily? I haven't forgotten. Hinata stammered, recalling her lines. Imitating Ino's tone, she declared, I am the first mage, Hinata Hyuga. Hinata's face flushed crimson, and steam seemed to rise from her head. Excellent. You must always remember your identities. This world needs us to protect it. Now, seeing your unwavering efforts and indomitable spirit, I, as the Dimensional Lord, must reward you. Natsuki struggled to suppress his laughter, maintaining a serious expression as goosebumps rose all over his body. He flicked his wrist, and the blanket billowed, engulfing the three of them. Ha ha ha, stop it. Don't tickle me. Hinata shrieked with laughter, kicking her legs. Oh right. The graduation exam. The graduation exam. We'll really be late if we don't leave now. Ino exclaimed. Yeah, and my sister's breakfast should be ready soon, Natsuki said, popping his head out from the blanket. Soon, two other little heads emerged on either side of him. Sigh, we're 12 years old just like that. We're graduating already. Yeah, feels like we haven't played enough yet. But becoming a ninja is great too. Exhausted from playing, the three little ones lay there, heads together, lamenting the passage of time. Under the blanket, Natsuki was held tightly by the two girls like an octopus caught in a net. Ino and Hinata exchanged glances. Hinata's head steamed again, and even the usually boisterous Ino blushed faintly. Chapter 76, the bedroom door opened, and Ino walked out, straightening her slightly messy collar. That goofball, Naruto, was standing outside at that moment, holding a rag, staring at her dumbfounded. What's wrong? Weren't you cleaning the defilement? A powerful monster appeared in the Dimensional Lord's bedroom just now. We subdued it together. Our energy consumption was a bit high, so now we need to replenish our energy. Ino raised her hand and tied her hair back into a ponytail, speaking with an air of authority she'd picked up from Shikamaru. Naruto froze for a moment before catching up with Ino's rhythm. After all, he hadn't been learning for nothing all these years. Oh. So, Natsuki saved the world again? Breakfast is ready, I was just coming to call you too. Naruto scratched his head, saying sheepishly. Wiping the table is called cleaning defilement, eating is called replenishing energy? Sure enough, my training is still not enough. Big Sis can speak freely, every word capable of shocking others, playing them at her fingertips. If I had this ability, I could also gain the recognition of the villagers and become Hokage sooner. Right, what is that monster? I really want to see it. Naruto craned his neck, trying to peek inside the room. Your training is far from enough, you can't see some things even if they're right in front of you. Think carefully about why other members have gained mystical powers, but you haven't. Alright, the Dimensional Lord is awake. You don't need to busy yourself, step back. Ino's eyes were indifferent as she waved her hand, dismissing Naruto. Looking at Naruto's enlightened expression, Ino couldn't help but feel happy for her little brother. In time, he would definitely gain mystical powers. Ahem, she unconsciously imitated Natsuki's expressions and gestures again to educate her little brother. The effect was quite good. Too perfect? Ino felt a sense of accomplishment. Just as she was thinking, Natsuki and Hinata walked out of the bedroom. Hinata's cheeks were flushed, like a delicate porcelain doll. Let's go refuel. Natsuki waved his hand, leading the two little ones, or rather, not so little ones, toward the large living room on the other side. At the large dining table in the living room, everyone sat in a circle. It smells so good. I can eat 10 bowls this time. Choji, holding a large bowl, stared at the pot. Wake up, you've already eaten 5 large bowls at my house. How much more do you want to eat? You'll really turn into a pig if you eat any more. Shikamaru quickly interjected. Having such a friend was really troublesome. The pig is no, I'm not. Choji mumbled. It's okay, eat as much as you want. The more you eat, the happier I am. Kurenai said with a smile, well then, let's have our filly wish you all success in passing the graduation exam and becoming strong ninja. Thank you, Lady Kurenai. I will definitely pass the exam. Naruto couldn't stand being encouraged, and immediately responded loudly. TCH, TCH, TCH. It seems you don't remember. You're dead last in class. Well, good luck I guess. Sasuke added from the side. Such delicious, rich flavor, and such big shrimp. Choji had already started gulping down the porridge. Refueling. Ino also picked up a bowl. Well then, let's celebrate your graduation in advance, and let the entire ninja world see the power of our dimensional ends congregation. Natsuki also picked up his bowl and drank it heartily, like drinking alcohol. Natsuki. Hinata, ever attentive and always focused on Natsuki, quickly stood up, took out a small handkerchief, and gently wiped his mouth. Kurenai's lips twitched. The other friends, having eaten their fill, felt like they had missed some important experience at school. After the feast, the future powerhouses of the ninja world walked into the school with an air of unmatched confidence. Arriving in the bustling classroom, everyone felt the uncontainable joy in the air. A complex feeling of approaching graduation. After everyone arrived, Iruka also strolled into the classroom. His whole being radiated a bright smile. Students, after 6 years of study, the moment has finally arrived for us to test our results. I'm sure you are all eager, right? I'm also eager. I can finally send off you terrorists. In 6 years, how many times has the academy been destroyed, directly or indirectly, by your hands? I really can't remember, it's too painful to recall. But let the past be the past. A beautiful tomorrow is right before our eyes. Alright, without further ado, let's begin the graduation exam. Line up according to your student ID, come forward when your name is called. The exam content is neither difficult nor easy. It's the basic 3 jutsu that you have all been learning. As a ninja, this is a ninjutsu that you must ingrain into your bones, to the point of using it instinctively. So please take it seriously and give it your all. Iruka glanced around and went straight to the point. So, the first one, Shinichi Kuto. As he spoke, the first student on the left went on stage. Just at this moment, a gust of wind blew outside the window, and a few broken branches fell. Shinichi Kuto wanted to show off his keen observation skills and adaptability. He immediately performed a substitution jutsu, switching places with the branch outside the window. But he forgot that their classroom was on the 4th floor. And he wasn't very proficient in substitution jutsu. Just like that, a scream rang out from the window, followed by the whoosh of a vertical fall. Everyone rushed to the window, only to see medical personnel, who had appeared downstairs at some point, quickly lift him onto a stretcher and rush away. The green light of medical ninjutsu quickly lit up his body. Sigh. Disqualified. Iruka shook his head. In order to prevent these students from trying to be clever, he added, just use something in the classroom for the substitution jutsu. Didn't you see all the wood prepared around? Next, Choji Akimaki. Choji Akimaki, as one of the super genius students, performed well. He easily executed the substitution jutsu. As for why he was called a super genius, it was because he had obtained mystical power years ago, allowing him to transform into a powerful Ultraman. So the second one was his transformation jutsu. Huh? Wait. Just as his mind raced, Iruka saw Choji take out a transformation device that almost everyone in Hidden Leaf Village currently possessed. Wait. Iruka raised his hand and could only begin his sentence. However, Choji's voice was louder, his actions eerily faster. Transform. Rumble. A huge light suddenly shone. The giant of light smashed through the ceiling of the academy. Choji was excited about the feeling of power filling his body, while puzzled by Iruka's shout. Didn't you tell us to take the exam seriously and give it our all? Chapter 77, I'm so tired. Iruka complained internally. Is being a teacher easy? No, it's not. Hurry up and stop using your mystical powers. Who had said that? Iruka looked at the boy. Oh, it's Natsuki. He nodded. You passed the test. Looking up, the giant of light scratched its head through the hole it had created in the ceiling before slowly disappearing. Chunks of concrete that had fallen down floated momentarily overhead before being flung away with great force. It was Hinata. Thank goodness, this class has many super geniuses with mysterious powers. Iruka breathed a sigh of relief. No, wait. He couldn't thank the goodness, not really, it precisely because of these super geniuses that he was so exhausted, he cooled to even yell properly. Lord Hokage, I really need to apply for more budget. The school building is damaged again, it can't be helped. Iruka led everyone out of the classroom and onto the training ground. This place is wide open, there shouldn't be any more trouble here, right? I should have held the exam here from the beginning. Stupid me. Iruka smacked himself on the forehead. Ow. Teacher? What's wrong with him? He seems to have gone silly. SHHH, maybe he got hit on the head by a rock earlier? Iruka's face darkened. He yelled, "Do you still want to graduate? The examination will continue. This time, for the transformation jutsu, I am the model. Everyone must transform into me to pass. No more random transformations." After the substitution jutsu, a new requirement was added to the transformation jutsu test. He really has it rough. Soon, the graduation exam continued. More students went up one after another. Unfortunately, they were all hopeless, unable even to perform the substitution jutsu. Fail. 6 years, and you still can't perform the basic 3 body jutsus? How can the teachers feel at ease letting you venture into the ninja world? You're all held back. Prepare to study with the junior students if you still want to graduate the academy. Next, Yui Natsuki. Natsuki stepped forward calmly. At 12 years old, he stood tall and straight. He was already quite handsome and elegant, yet still retained the cuteness of a young boy. His fair and delicate face seemed to glow with a luminous light. As expected, his appearance triggered a wave of screams. "Natsuki, so handsome. You can do it, husband. Shameless bitch. He's my husband. The first time I saw him 6 years ago, I knew he was the one for me. You? Passed the exam and become a ninja first. With your skills, you won't even see him after graduation. You have my condolences. Darn it. I must pass the exam and become a ninja, following in Natsuki's footsteps. Someone like Natsuki is destined to become the strongest Hokage, and I will become the Hokage's wife. Get out of here. Look at yourself. TCH, even if I can't be the Hokage's wife, I can be the second wife, the third wife. I'm willing to be a concubine. As long as I can be by Natsuki's side. Shameless bitches." The girls chattered and gossiped, like tens of thousands of ducks quacking. And it wasn't just the students in the same year, even some students from other grades were watching the graduation exam from afar. The sound waves seemed to come from all directions. Only then did the classmates in the class truly realize the influence of the god, Natsuki. Iruka wiped the sweat from his forehead and quickly quieted the noisy crowd. It seems that holding the examination on the training ground wasn't a good idea either. This shit is too hard. Natsuki, you can begin. Huh? Why did you run so far? Others performed their examination in front of Iruka. Natsuki, however, had run 30 meters away, far from the crowd. Natsuki waved from a distance. "Let's start, give it your all." Oh no. Hearing these familiar words by his own mouth, Iruka's eyes widened in sudden fear. Substitution jutsu. Boom. Natsuki instantly vanished from his spot. In his place appeared a huge artificial mountain, the one placed on the back hill of the school as a landscape decoration. And it ended up being brought here by Natsuki's substitution jutsu. This distance, this replacement. Just how much chakra did that consume? No, wait. Even with enough chakra, someone without a certain level of mastery in substitution jutsu couldn't pull this off. This guy's substitution jutsu is extraordinary, unprecedented. If the ancestor who created the substitution jutsu saw this, I wonder what they would think. Looking at the artificial mountain that occupied half the training ground, Iruka slapped himself hard. Why did I have to open my mouth and tell them to give it their all? Don't I already know how many freaks are in this class? No, wait. Wasn't I supposed to have them use the spare wood in the classroom for the substitution jutsu? He glanced around. It dawned on him that because they had just left the classroom and come to the training ground, he had forgotten to bring the spare wood. The training ground was empty, there weren't many usable materials around. No wonder the previous few students couldn't even perform the substitution jutsu. The man was too exhausted to realize this crucial detail. Asking newly graduated students to use long-range substitution jutsu to swap objects like branches, wood, and stones from 100 meters away was simply unreasonable. Even Jonan couldn't do that. Sigh, I was distracted. I was too busy worrying about the school building repair costs and how to explain it to Lord Hokage that I forgot to bring the exam props. Natsuki. You passed. Could you move the artificial hill back? Please. Iruka wiped the sweat pouring down his forehead and said apologetically. That's easy. A reply came from somewhere. After a puff of smoke, the artificial mountain vanished. In its place, a massive crater appeared on the previously flat training ground. The corner of Iruka's mouth twitched. He quickly pretended not to see it. His eyes scanned the distance, searching for Natsuki. Teacher, I'm here. A calm, steady voice, without a hint of breathlessness, sounded right in front of Iruka. It startled him. Natsuki was already back? So silent and effortless. He's truly exceptional. With his skills, staying in the academy was really a waste of talent. As your teacher, I can definitely say I'm no match for you. It's a good thing you're graduating. Excellent. Natsuki, you are truly outstanding. I hereby declare that you have graduated. Iruka quickly offered sincere praise and simultaneously prevented him from continuing the exam, lest he cause more trouble. In his opinion, these super geniuses shouldn't need to take the exam at all, otherwise, his poor heart really wouldn't be able to take it. Natsuki is too strong. Natsuki is amazing, I love you Natsuki. Shameless. Saying things like that in public. But Natsuki is amazing. If I don't say it now, I might not have a chance later. That's right, Natsuki, I love you too. You're the strongest. Ignoring the noisy girls, Natsuki shook his head and said seriously to Iruka, no, there are still 2 jutsu I haven't been tested on. Teacher, I don't need special treatment. Just follow the normal procedure, I can do it. Who would dare say you can't? Not to mention your fan club could pulverize the enemy, your strength alone is monstrous. That's not what I meant. What I meant was, you're too capable. Can you please tone it down? Just graduate quickly and go cause trouble for others, go bring down the Hokage Tower or something, just leave me alone. Iruka wiped away the super-duper, extra-strength waterfall of sweat on his forehead and said with a worried face, you are already very, very strong, but for the sake of fairness, please continue. Then, in a voice only the 2 of them could hear, he added, by the way, don't give it your all anymore. Just do the bare minimum. You've already passed your graduation exam. If someone objects your graduation, I'll show them what a sincere teacher who endured the harassment of you terrorists can bring to the table. Natsuki nodded. Then I'll just do the bare minimum. He clapped his hands together, completing the hand seals. Transformation Jutsu. A tremendous light descended from the sky. As if poured from the heavens, from within the divine light. Another god made his dazzling entrance. His face was chiseled and flawless, radiant and handsome. The eye patch over his left eye added a touch of ruthlessness and coolness to dashing appearance. Oh! Gasps of astonishment echoed across the training ground once more. Even Iruka's jaw dropped. Because this god was none other than himself. Just with an eye patch. Chapter 78, When did I become this handsome? Iruka, looking at another Iruka opposite him, couldn't help but touch his cheek. And that eye patch, it just adds a bit of dominance to my image, giving people the feeling that I should have been wearing an eye patch all along. Should I get an eye patch? I should get an eye patch. I absolutely must get an eye patch. Wait, this is the transformation jutsu exam, what are you doing with such flashy stuff? In actual combat, wouldn't the enemy immediately know you're a fake? Iruka took another deep look at Natsuki's transformed appearance, firmly memorizing it. Then he rubbed his face, his expression having gone from shock to pleasant surprise, and finally to annoyance. Forcing a stiff smile, he said, Natsuki, your transformation jutsu is quite impressive, but could you please remove the eye patch? The purpose of the transformation jutsu is to replicate the original person as closely as possible. This jutsu is mostly used in order to gather espionage or evade pursuit. This way, you won't be easily exposed. Advanced transformation jutsu can even mimic voices. You must understand this very well. I refuse. Natsuki shook his head, speaking in Iruka's voice. His expression was indifferent, his demeanor cold and ruthless. Iruka's eyes lit up again. This image the child projected now was too great. If I had this look during my previous dates, I wouldn't be single right now. To think I'd learn grooming tips from a student today, he really is worthy of being recognized as the Academy's heartthrob. However, I don't think I can pull off this personality. The Eye of Death contains boundless power, sealing a demon god capable of destroying the world. Therefore, we cannot sacrifice the greater good for the sake of minor details. For the safety of the ninja world, the eye patch cannot be removed. As for gathering intel or evading pursuit, sorry, but enemies would be running away from me before I even need to hide. I am the Dimensional Lord. I stand for righteousness and face my enemies head-on. There is no retreat. As long as I stand here, the enemy will never cross the line. Saying this, Natsuki transformed back into himself and waved to the crowd behind him. Immediately, a large group of fangirls screamed wildly. Natsuki is so domineering. I want to bear his children. What the actual fuck? That's right. Natsuki is the strongest. Why would he need to hide from enemies? Gathering intel is just to assess the opponent's strength, right? Natsuki's super invincible Thunderbolt Fireball can force the enemy to reveal themselves completely. Forget the textbook. It says to gather intel like a rat, sneaking around like a cat. Natsuki doesn't have to do that, let someone else do it. The atmosphere was derailed yet again. Iruka's face darkened. This time, he wouldn't let Natsuki continue the exam no matter what. If this went on, they would definitely not finish the exam today. Thus, Amidst a burst of cheers, Natsuki finished the graduation exam with a perfect score. And because the atmosphere was lively and the students were enthusiastic, many students who were previously timid performed exceptionally well. The number of graduates was even higher than in the original story. Except for a certain someone. Seeing Natsuki's dazzling transformation jutsu attracting so much attention, Naruto's had an enlightenment. He abandoned Iruka as a template and forcefully used his self-developed sexy jutsu. He made Iruka and a certain old man peeping with the telescope jutsu spurt out blood from their nose. This time, it wasn't in the classroom, but in broad daylight. The result was predictable. He was beaten up by Sakura, who led a group of girls. In the end, as if the timeline was correcting itself, or perhaps because he had just been beaten up, even though Naruto was a lot stronger than in the original story, he still got stuck on the final clone jutsu. He failed. The day ended in such a boisterous manner. Everyone's academy life had came to an end. When night fell, the child of destiny, swayed by temptation, ultimately headed towards the Hokage Tower. The grand main storyline finally began. Natsuki, familiar with the plot, did not participate in this Scroll of Seals incident. This kind of loophole-ridden scheme, obviously designed by the third Hokage, was something only fools would fall for. The Flying Thunder God, a forbidden jutsu he considered worth learning, had already been obtained when he traded it for the super invincible Thunderbolt Fireball with the third Hokage. He had learned it over these years and could use it openly. It was just that there was no opportunity for him to use it in the academy. Moreover, this was also Naruto and Iruka's moment to shine. Let them be the protagonists for once. Natsuki said softly, lying on the roof of his house, quietly admiring the moon. The next moment, a voice rang in his ear. Ding! A member of your congregation, Naruto Uzumaki, has learned the multiple shadow clone jutsu. Through the Evil King's Eye System's extraction, you have obtained the multiple shadow clone jutsu with halved chakra consumption. The next morning, as soon as Natsuki walked into the classroom, he saw a scene that burned a hole through his eyes. It was Sasuke and Naruto, the two true love doves, deepening their bond through mutual understanding. The timeline was correcting itself too much. That scene was truly unbearable to watch. Undoubtedly, Sasuke, the second most popular boy in the class, had his first kiss stolen like that. The girls instantly went wild. Naruto was subjected to another group exercise. The entire class was in an uproar. Fortunately, Iruka walked into the classroom and put an end to the farce. Good morning, class. Congratulations to all of you on your graduation. From today onwards, you are all ninjas capable of acting independently. However, because you are only newly graduated genin and lack experience, you will be divided into 3-man teams and assigned to a jonin teacher in the village to continue your training and carry out missions. As soon as Iruka finished speaking, the whole class buzzed with excitement. Almost all the girls looked at Natsuki immediately. I want to be on Natsuki's team. It goes without saying that everyone wanted a teammate who was both powerful and easy on the eyes. Even some boys felt the same way. Being on a team with the powerful Natsuki would surely make future missions much easier. Of course, other strong people would also be great teammates. Alright, everyone quiet down. Now we'll begin assigning teams. Iruka took out a list and said in a clear voice, Team 1. Team 2, Shinoa Barame. Team 7, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, Naruto Uzumaki. Bang. Teacher Iruka. I have a question. Why do I have to be on the same team as that stuck-up Sasuke? Can you kick Sasuke out and put Natsuki in? Naruto slammed his hands on the desk and shouted loudly. Idiot, I should be the one saying that. You're dead last, can you just drop out and let Natsuki join? Stuck-up snot-nosed Sasuke, who are you calling dead last? Come on, let me show you the new jutsu I learned last night. Seeing the two boys about to start a fight again. Quiet. Iruka slammed his hands on the desk, stopping the two. The teams are already set, and they cannot be changed. If you don't want to graduate, you can stay in the academy for a few more years. Preferably not, please don't. I don't want to deal with this headache anymore. Now, Team 8, Natsuki Yui, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka. Whoa. Sighs of disappointment filled the classroom and envious gazes were cast their way. Natsuki, that's great. Hinata, his deskmate, was unusually not shy this time. Her small hand under the desk subconsciously grabbed Natsuki's arm, her face full of excitement. As graduation approached, everyone stopped suppressing their feelings. Natsuki's desk was filled with love letters every day, and coupled with the commotion he caused on the training grounds, he even had admirers from other grades. This put a lot of pressure on her. Because of this, she even puffed out her chest, bravely facing the gazes from all around. I won't give up. I will face any challenges with Natsuki. Natsuki was a little surprised. He didn't expect Hinata's team to be split up. He was already surprised when he heard that Shino was teamed up with others. It seemed that the higher-ups valued him quite well. Being on a team with Hinata made Natsuki very satisfied. Team 10, Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akimaki. Iruka's voice didn't stop because of the students' commotion, continuing to read out the team assignments. Now that the team assignments are complete, your Jonin team leaders will guide your future training. After Iruka announced the end of the team assignments and left the classroom with a list, imposing figures entered one after another. Team 1, come with me. Team 10 Zuno, Shikamaru. Asuma Saratobi also walked in and took away the Inoshikacho trio. Natsuki, who will our teacher be? I'm so excited. Hinata tightly held Natsuki's left hand, her eyes nervously fixed on the door. Who else could it be? If Team 7's teacher hadn't changed. Natsuki smiled wryly. He couldn't escape his sister's clutches after all. No wonder she didn't celebrate with him last night, even though she always used any excuse to drink. Was this supposed to be a surprise? Sure enough, a moment later, a graceful figure walked in. Her face was filled with uncontainable joy. Even her eyes curved into crescents. All right, my little cuties of Team 8, come with me. Kurenai's gaze landed directly on Natsuki. Hi. It's Lady Kurenai. Hinata happily pulled Natsuki along as she hopped toward Kurenai. At the same time, a boy with a puppy on his head stood up, shaking his head. TSK, we just formed the team and I already have to put up with their lovely-dovely act? What a nasty feeling. Right, Akamaru? Woof. Chapter 79, though he snorted like a proud edgelord, Kiba was secretly thrilled to be teamed up with Natsuki, the class topper who always aced practical exams. So, as they left the academy, Kiba, lagging behind, called out to the two ahead. Natsuki. Hinata. Hey, we're teammates now. Don't worry, I'm super strong. I definitely won't hold you guys back. Right, Akamaru? Woof. The cheerful voice made Natsuki and Hinata stop and turn. Please take care of me from now on. Kiba beamed, a picture of youthful energy. Too bad, though. Hinata stared at Kiba, utterly perplexed. What's your name? Crack. Something seemed to shatter in the atmosphere. Kiba stumbled back, the question "what's your name?" echoing in his head. 6 years. They'd been classmates for 6 years, and she didn't even remember his name. Was my presence that insignificant? Kiba frantically searched his memories of the academy. Well, classes were a drag and a half, so he was one of the resident truants, often skipping out with Shikamaru, Choji, and Naruto. The rest of the time he spent sleeping, but that was only because he trained so hard after class that he was exhausted. It couldn't be. Could it? Woof. Akamaru, sensing his master's despair, barked loudly. His name is Kiba. He's a genius from the Inuzuka clan. Thankfully, Natsuki smoothly rescued Hinata, even throwing in a compliment to ease the awkwardness. Ah, Kiba. Yes, please take care of me as well. Hinata blushed crimson, realizing she'd been a bit harsh. But it wasn't her fault. She didn't know, and for the past 6 years, her attention had been almost entirely focused on Natsuki and their congregation. Besides, fending off all those other girls was exhausting enough. Still, it wasn't too late to make amends. Hinata apologized again, her eyes welling up with anxiety. Hey, it's okay. Kiba waved his hands frantically. Making such a cute, harmless girl cry. It felt wrong for some reason. Even Akamaru had stopped barking, lowering his head and wagging his tail. That ungrateful mutt. I'll give him extra training for him when we get back home. Come on, let's go. If we don't hurry, we'll lose our teacher, Natsuki reminded them, pulling Hinata along after Kurenai. When it was official business, Natsuki, as a righteous man, preferred not to mention his sister's relationship to him. Calling her teacher was just fine. Right. The three followed Kurenai out of the academy to a deserted area on the village outskirts, surrounded by lush forest. Several wooden posts stood nearby, covered in countless slash marks. This was training ground 8. This will do. First things first, introductions. Tell me a little about yourselves, your hobbies, your dreams. Kurenai stood with one hand on her hip, a warm smile on her beautiful face. She seemed like a friendly older sister next door. All right, I'll go first, Kurenai began. My name is Kurenai Yui, and I'll be your Jonin instructor. You can call me Teacher Kurenai or Lady Kurenai. I specialize in Ganjutsu, enjoy evening sake, wasabi octopus, and dislike cake. My dream is to become the greatest Ganjutsu user and taste every fine wine in the world. Life is fleeting, glory is but a dream. Only fine wine can prolong those precious moments and intoxicate the soul. If you have any good wine at home, feel free to bring it in, and I'll help you. Appreciate it. That irresponsible sister. Natsuki's eye twitched. The beginning was fine, but the more he listened, the more exasperated he became. Hold on. You just became a teacher, and you're already openly asking for bribes? Humphrey. Seeing her intentions exposed, Kurenai huffed, put on a stern face, and added, "Oh, and another hobby of mine is hitting my little brother. I hit him when I'm in a bad mood, I hit him when it rains, I hit him when it's sunny, and even when I'm happy." Their sibling relationship was an open secret among the clan children. There was no need to hide it, especially since Hinata had visited their home several times and was already familiar with their dynamic. As expected, Hinata giggled behind her hand. Natsuki had a rough childhood, huh? Kiba, as straightforward as Naruto, took it as truth. He'd been quite the troublemaker himself, often receiving a double whammy from his mother and sister Hana. At least there was reason behind those beatings. This teacher, however, seemed to resort to violence on a whim. Beneath her approachable exterior was the heart of a tyrant. I'll have to be careful around her. Okay, your turn. Kurenai's gaze swept over them. Kiba, jolted from his daydream, jumped and quickly introduced himself. I'm Kiba Inuzuka. I have a keen sense of smell and excel at tracking. Prey I target never escapes my fangs. I like beef jerky and cartilage, and I hate things that aren't chewy. My dream is to become Hokage. Oh, and my hobby is walking with Akamaru. Woof. Akamaru, perched on Kiba's head, barked in agreement. Very good. You seem full of energy. Kurenai nodded, then turned to Hinata. Hinata straightened up. And my name is Hinata Hyuga. I specialize in taijutsu. I like many things. And even more since I met someone. My hobby is flower pressing. I like red bean paste and cinnamon rolls. I hate shrimp and crab because they're scary. My future dream is to cook delicious meals. For Natsuki. The unspoken words hung in the air, barely a whisper. Hinata yearned to shout them out loud, but she lacked the courage. The veiled confession had already made her blush furiously. Saying anything more might make her faint. Ahem, that's a very unique dream, Kurenai said, giving Hinata a strange look. She racked her brain for encouraging words but ended up with unique. That dream really is unique for a ninja. Well, that concludes the introductions. Now. Lady Kurenai. Natsuki hasn't introduced himself yet. Hinata, forgetting her shyness, interrupted. Natsuki hadn't revealed his preferences yet. Everyone had to know. Oh? Natsuki hasn't? Then Natsuki, say a few words. Kurenai was doing this on purpose. Humphrey, who told you to expose me earlier? But truthfully, she also wanted to hear about Natsuki's hobbies and dreams. Despite living together for so long, she still couldn't quite figure out her little brother. Sometimes he was mature, especially when it came to forbidding her from drinking. But other times, he was childish, doing ridiculous things. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Just then, Natsuki spoke. Since you all sincerely wish to know this honorable self, I shall graciously enlighten you. Kurenai's eye twitched. Turning to the other two, she asked, how long has it been since he's been like this? Is he always like this at the academy? How did he survive for 6 years? Didn't the other kids beat him up? Hinata quickly defended him. Natsuki is a good person. Everyone likes him. Kiba, face dark, muttered, the other boys couldn't beat him up. Chapter 80, Rejoice, mortals. You are graced with the knowledge of my true identity. I am the Dimensional Lord, the Demon Sealer, the wielder of the Eyes of Death, and the founder of the Dimensional Ends Congregation. Natsuki's voice resonated, as if imbued with a captivating magic, making one truly believe he was a supreme being. Fortunately, Kurenai, with her strong mental fortitude, mastery of Genjutsu, and years of experience living with Natsuki, only briefly succumbed to the illusion before snapping out of it. Then it hit her. What did he just say? What the? Has his Chunabiu reached its final form? Natsuki often acted a bit chuny at home, but that was behind closed doors, just playful antics she dismissed as childish innocence. And no one outside the family knew about it. But now, on the verge of becoming a ninja, with outsiders present. How could he possibly act so shamelessly? How thick was his skin? Kurenai's first thought was that she hadn't disciplined him enough. She felt a pang of guilt towards her aunt and uncle, who had entrusted Natsuki to her family on the night of the Nine-Tails rampage. She also felt she'd let down her father, who had made her promise to take care of her little brother before leaving for the fight. 12 years had passed. And he'd grown up crooked. Well, his appearance was impeccable, but his personality. Sigh, it's my fault. Back then, I was just a little girl myself, still full of childish whims. How could I have known how to raise a child? Kurenai couldn't stand it anymore. She had to intervene with some family education. But then, Natsuki started to float. Not in the figurative, walking on air sense, but literally. He defied gravity, rising effortlessly several meters into the air. When it came to causing trouble and attracting attention, Kurenai had to admit, her brother had always been a natural.